Chapter 2021. In a continuous mountain range outside Divine Dragon City, Shao Chun stood on one of the unremarkable peaks. When he looked back, he remained silent. He had not expected the competition between the 7 outer palaces to end like this. He felt somewhat wronged, somewhat helpless, but mostly guilty. The first palace master took the initiative to fight with Ancestor Dragon City's elders for him. His brothers and friends did not hesitate to oppose Ancestor Dragon City to protect him. After causing such a huge commotion, they would definitely be punished in the end. Big Brother Shao, are we not leaving? Sang came out of the Divine Universe Steel and looked at Shao Chun with some worry. Sang was very worried about Shao Chun's current situation. He knew that Shao Chun blamed himself and would not be able to calm down for now. Was I too rash? At worst, I'll just make a trip to Ancestor Dragon City. Isn't that just exposing my blue dragon bloodline? Shao Chun said softly as he looked into the distance. Shao Chun had always been swift and decisive when doing things, rarely regretting them. However, he had not expected a drag in so many people this time. In reality, Shao Chun could not be blamed for many things. It was trouble that sought him out, not that he took the initiative to create trouble. Situ Changfeng and the others charged out of their own volition. It was just like how Shao Chun risked his life to save Situ Changfeng without hesitation in desolate God Valley. All he could do was follow his heart. However, no matter how resolute a heart was, there would be a weak and soft side. There would always be heartache that was hard to control. On this day, Shao Chun truly felt helpless after his dream shattered in Divine Dragon City. The land of shattered dreams. Broken dreams. Broken heart. 5 years of wandering. 5 years of heartache. He was just one step away from seeing Lu Ruyue. When Murong Yin attacked in rage and the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples attacked, cracks appeared in that proud and stubborn heart that would never give up. Cracks appeared in that proud and stubborn heart that would never give up. A broken heart that was hard to come by. After the shocking battle during the Great Tribulation of the Kunlun realm, Shao Chun had not felt such emotions for many years already. Let's go. Shao Chun could not bear to watch. He could not bear to look at the land of shattered dreams. Where to next? Are we leaving the Divine Dragon Empire? Sang asked. Recuperate first. 3 days later. The commotion in Divine Dragon City slowly calmed down. After the initial commotion, people finally figured out the truth. No one expected the commotion that resulted in 2 horrifying sovereign emperors fighting in Divine Dragon City. It was actually caused by an inconspicuous outer palace disciple. Shao Chun, a disciple who only had some fame in the outer palaces, instantly swept through the entire Divine Dragon Empire. Whether it was the Imperial Emperor or Star-Lord Cloud Sea, they all knew of this person. In the competition between the 7 palaces, Qin Mu, who had suppressed the Qin family's twin star, had been discovered to be a fake. This had caused a huge commotion. What was even more shocking was that the Blue Dragon Palace's Situ Changfeng, the Golden Dragon Palace's Wei Hongfei, all the Heaven-class core disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace stepped forward for such a person. As the Heaven Dragon Palace's first palace master, Ian did not hesitate to fight with Ancestor Dragon City's Supreme Elder. Everything was to send this person out of Divine Dragon City. The story was too bizarre, but it was usually the bizarre that would be praised by people. As time went by, people dug up Shao Chun's past deeds of chopping down Rakshasa Tion's clone and rescuing the Flame Dragon Legion alone. This was even more shocking and inconceivable. 7 days later, in a small tea house by the roadside in the ancient Dragon City where the White Dragon Palace was, some people sat in a rather desolate tea house, drinking tea and chatting. To think that this Shao Chun has not been caught yet. This is strange. It has already been 7 days, but we have not even seen a shadow of him. This is really ridiculous. The Blood Dragon Guards have always been known for their efficiency. To think that they could not find any clues at all. This is indeed strange. I heard that there was something even more bizarre. There was a dragon race expert skilled in divination who tried to divine Shao Chun's position. In the end, all of them drained their soul energy, vomited blood, and fainted. When they woke up, they did not say a word. No one dared to divine where this Xiao Chun was anymore. Ha! That is an absolute genius who successfully practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist. There will always be some exceptions. Speaking of the Supreme Dragon Fist, have you heard of it? I heard that the Qin clan's twin stars already brought out the limits of the Emperor Dragon Fist. However, that Xiao Chun still defeated them. How come I haven't heard of it? The Emperor Dragon Fist has been passed down for tens of thousands of years. It is the top offensive martial technique of the dragon race, known as the king of fist techniques. Even in the entire Central Great Realm, fist techniques that can compare to it are as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Who could have expected that it would lose to the Supreme Dragon Fist? A fortune teller said that the Golden Dragon Palace's luck is already affected. The Golden Dragon bloodline has already sent out the Dragon Protecting Squad. The order is to kill Xiao Chun on the spot. The Golden Dragon Palace's group of bastards is really ruthless. However, thinking about it, it makes sense. This Xiao Chun is already a threat to their ruling position. If it were me, I would have killed him before there were any signs. In a corner of the tea house, a cloaked figure put down his teacup, left behind some spirit jades, and stood up to leave. The person under the black cloak was Xiao Chun. After 10 days, Xiao Chun's injuries had healed. After he recovered, he carefully made his way to this place. The White Dragon Palace did not put much effort into pursuing Xiao Chun. They did not even search for suspicious people. However, Xiao Chun did not lower his guard. When he came to investigate, he only came to this desolate tea house. He did not even go to the more bustling inns. However, there was not much useful information. It was all outdated information. Xiao Chun already knew about this 3 days ago. According to the rumors, there were Situ, Changfeng, Murong Yin, and the many disciples of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Surprisingly, they were not severely punished. They were only disqualified from entering Ancestor Dragon City for 1 year. After that, the various outer palaces dealt with them on their own. This was already the best result. It looked like Ancestor Dragon City still had some boldness and did not make things difficult for these disciples. Xiao Chun's only worry was the first palace master. Even now, there had been no news of the first palace master. 1 hour later, Xiao Chun stopped at the periphery of the mountain range where the White Dragon Palace was. He had already circled the entire White Dragon Palace. The formations layered over each other. If one tried to barge in, one would just be seeking death. Xiao Chun asked, saying, "Do you have a way?" There's no problem. One of their formations uses the power of the mountains, using everything as a formation. I can communicate with some ancient trees and use that to make a breakthrough. If we are careful, we can enter. All right. After putting on the Death God mask, Xiao Chun successfully infiltrated the place after some effort. The Death God mask had the ability to isolate all auras. Even a sovereign emperor would find it hard to detect. For the past 10 days, Xiao Chun had been able to prevent the various factions from tracking him largely because of the Death God mask. When necessary, the Death God mask could even merge itself into the void to avoid detection. The White Dragon Palace was extremely vast. When Xiao Chun silently barged in at night, he did not attract any attention. Following the route in his memory, Xiao Chun carefully made his way to Lu Ruyun's residence. By relying on the Death God mask to isolate his aura, Xiao Chun evaded the many guards. When the full moon rose, Xiao Chun finally arrived at the side of the lake between the towering mountains and precipitous ridges. The lake water was as clear as before. White mist seeped out of the lake's surface at night, making it look even colder when illuminated by the moonlight. An exquisite pavilion shrouded in white mist stood in the center of the lake, appearing indistinct at a glance. Mountains surrounded the surroundings, and the lake water looked like a painting. The distant mountain ranges rose and fell. The lake water looked like jade amid the undulating mountain ranges, looking like a flawless piece of unpolished jade embedded in the mountains. As Xiao Chun stood at the lake's edge, he saw that the picturesque lake was incredibly long and narrow, extending out between two mountain ranges. This small lake actually gave off the feeling of a vast sea, vast and unfathomable. As for the pavilion in the center of the lake, Shao Chun peered through the mist. Dragons and jade phoenixes were carved in the pavilion, looking pure white. The pavilion flickered with a crystalline light, reflecting the rippling, jade-green surface of the lake. "I've arrived," Shao Chun muttered to himself as he stared at the pavilion. Lu Riyue's residence in the White Dragon Palace was Shao Chun's destination. Although he could not go to Ancestor Dragon City, Shao Chun had not forgotten his initial purpose in coming to the Divine Dragon Empire. Shao Chun's figure flashed, and he flew over silently. His figure rose and fell a few times on the lake surface. Then, he gently drifted down like a swallow and landed on the pavilion's roof. Shao Chun did not enter rashly, as there were people inside. Inside the pavilion, Lu Riyun held a painting with only Shao Chun's silhouette. She said hatefully, "Damn Shao Chun. Damn Shao Chun. We agreed to go to Ancestor Dragon City together. Why did you cause such a huge commotion? It is just a movement technique. You could have just told me, and I would have gotten my father to do it for you. It would have been easy. You bastard. You left without a conscience. You should have at least reported that you were safe. I'll stab you to death. I'll stab you to death." As the valiant and formidable-looking Lu Riyun spoke, her eyes turned somewhat moist. This girl did not know why she felt disappointed. She just felt her nose turn sour. Then, she behaved like a child, poking many holes in the painting. Shao Chun looked at the messy painting on the ground. All of them had similar holes. It was clear that this was not her first day here. Lu Riyun only left in embarrassment when it was late at night. Shao Chun sighed in his heart. After Lu Riyue was far away, he silently entered the pavilion. Lu Riyun once said that as long as Lu Riyue had time, she would come back to stay for a while. Shao Chun did not know when exactly, but this was where Lu Riyue stayed in the White Dragon Palace. He waited patiently. Perhaps he might get a chance to meet Lu Riyue before he left. He could only leave such an opportunity to heaven and try his luck. Shao Chun did not hold much hope. Time passed quietly. Soon, 1 month passed. Shao Chun already felt some despair. During this time, Sang urged him several times to leave this place quickly. There were many experts in the White Dragon Palace. Once discovered, only death awaited him. "Big brother Shao Chun, we really have to go. Right now, the most important thing is to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. We really cannot remain in this White Dragon Palace." Sang's voice came from the Divine Universe Steel again. Shao Chun had already waited for many days. He had promised Sang to leave several times, but he could not help staying. Shao Chun sighed softly. "Let's leave after tonight." Shao Chun was destined not to see Lu Riyue again. Once he left, he did not know when he could see Lu Riyue again. Someone is approaching. Just at this moment, Shao Chun and Sang both sensed someone slowly floating over from the lake. It was not Lu Riyun. In the past month, Lu Riyun had come several times. Shao Chun and Sang were already very familiar with her aura. "It's her?" Chapter 2022. Someone was indeed here. The lake rippled under the night sky. A girl wearing simple clothes that could not hide her outstanding charm arrived before the pavilion amid the hazy white fog. She pushed the door open and entered. She went straight to the study and saw the mess on the floor. She frowned slightly and smiled softly. "This girl is causing trouble in my room again." Clearly, she knew that Lu Riyun was the cause of all this. Aside from Lu Riyun, no one else could enter the pavilion in the center of the lake. Lu Riyun showed a relaxed expression and did not notice that someone was leaning against the roof beam, watching her. The only exposed eyes under the mask had lost their previous clarity, appearing somewhat sluggish. It really is her. Qingyun Peak's Lu Riyue, the girl who once made Shao Chun reveal his heart at the top of a 30-kilometer-tall peak and love her. After not seeing her for so many years, she had changed a lot. The only thing that did not change was her charm, which remained the same. She was exactly the same as in Shao Chun's memories. However, she now had an air of nobility and holiness that others could not bear to blaspheme. Lu Riyue clearly had many charms, but she did not give off the aura of a prostitute. Instead, she was filled with contradictions and temptation. No wonder everyone in the Divine Dragon Empire knew about the White Dragon Holy Daughter. Who could compare to her charm? She is too reckless. I really have to scold her. Lu Riyun looked at the painting and the gaps of various sizes, appearing somewhat angry. As she looked at the blank painting with only a silhouette, she revealed a trace of gentleness and confusion on her face. Why is it that when I see only a silhouette, my heart relaxes? However, I cannot remember who he is. Who is it? Just at this moment, a strange sound startled Lu Riyue. It turned out that Lu Riyue could not help falling from the roof beam. Lu Riyue reacted very quickly. With a flip of her hand, she threw a palm strike. Given her sovereign personage cultivation, if this palm strike struck Xiao Chun, he would suffer. Whoosh! Xiao Chun suddenly startled awake. His figure flashed as he dodged the palm strike and flew out of the window. How bold of you! You even dare to barge into my room. A murderous intent flashed in Lu Riyue's eyes. A small saber appeared in her hand as she gave chase like a beam of flowing light. Despite moving later, Lu Riyue arrived first, landing in front of Xiao Chun and blocking his path. Clang! Without any hesitation, Zhang Xian drew the short saber in his hand, and a cold, killing intent immediately spread out. The temperature of the lake plummeted. The blade of the saber shone with a piercingly cold light, reflecting the gentle moonlight. A cool breeze blew in the surroundings, making it seem like willow leaves drifting about. The instant Lu Riyue drew her saber, her aura merged with the surrounding mountains and rivers. The blade was locked on to Xiao Chun. Apart from taking the blow head-on, there was no way to avoid it. Under the illumination of the full moon in the vast night, the clear surface of the lake was filled with cold fog. The saber light flying over was cold and desolate. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, Xiao Chun had no idea. Regardless of the reason, Xiao Chun could not attack the person in front of him. The promise he made in this life would never be erased. Like a willow leaf, it flew along with the saber and was less than 30 centimeters away from him. Xiao Chun took off the Grim Reaper mask on his face. Under the gentle moonlight, this was a delicate and handsome face. It didn't have the magnificence of jade, nor did it have the arrogance of nobility. It was a face with delicate features and a pair of clear and bright eyes under the illumination of the moonlight. The instant Xiao Chun removed the mask, Lu Riyue's heart skipped a beat. It was like a conditioned reflex as she forcefully pulled back her attack. The fatal saber stopped when it was less than 2 centimeters away from Xiao Chun. Their eyes met, and Lu Riyue immediately felt distracted. While she was at a loss, she felt that the person before her was incredibly familiar, exceptionally intimate. White fog spread out in all directions, and the lake reflected the bright moon in the sky. As the two stood on the peaceful lake, it was like they were standing on a bright moon. The lake was empty, and only the 2 full moons in the sky and the man and woman in white remained in this world. Xiao Chun revealed a smile on his face. It had been so many years. Even if the other party lost her memories, she could not erase the feelings of the past. At this moment, Xiao Chun felt relieved. Many of his grievances were swept away. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Lu Riyue's wrist, which she used to draw her saber, and slowly moved it away. Then, he bent over and gently kissed the back of her hand. Lu Riyue immediately revealed extreme shock on her face. She had an incredulous expression. She blushed like fire. "You scoundrel!" Bang! Lu Riyue threw a palm strike with her left hand at lightning speed and struck Xiao Chun's shoulder. Immediately, Xiao Chun flew back like a sandbag. Xiao Chun landed on the water and splashed up a large amount of water. He only managed to stand firm after flying a long distance. Xiao Chun wiped off the blood from the corner of his lips and looked at Lu Riyue in front. His smile did not diminish. Lu Riyue's expression returned to normal as she asked Xiao Chun coldly, "Who are you?" The murderous intent on her face no longer existed. Although this was the first time Lu Riyue met the person before her, she felt a sense of familiarity. There was no sense of unfamiliarity at all. This was the first time Lu Riyue had experienced something like this in her life. She felt somewhat flustered, but she could only maintain a cold expression and pretend to be calm. Just as Xiao Chen was about to answer, a strong aura rushed over from the distance. Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. He was very familiar with this aura. It was the White Dragon King. Xiao Chen glanced at Lu Riyue and said, "We will meet again. The next time we meet, I will tell you who I am." Right after Xiao Chen spoke, he turned and left. Whoosh! Right after Xiao Chen left, the White Dragon King slowly descended. As the White Dragon King watched Xiao Chen leave, he felt astonished. This fellow is rather courageous. All the major factions of the Divine Dragon Empire are looking for him, yet he still dares to come to the White Dragon Palace. Adoptive father, do you know this person? Lu Riyue asked as she looked at the White Dragon King. When Xiao Chen left, his usual calm immediately gave her some clues from the White Dragon King's face. If Xiao Chen were here, he would definitely feel suspicious about how Lu Riyue addressed him. The White Dragon King's heart immediately tightened. This girl is still as sharp as before. She noticed the slightest change in his expression. What's going on? A figure flew over from the lake. It was Lu Riyue. The White Dragon King immediately felt a headache coming. Another problem. Just as he was about to leave, Lu Riyue pestered him. Quickly speak. Quickly speak. What's going on? I feel like someone was here. Lu Riyue said, "Indeed, someone was here. He wore white clothes and was young. He seemed to be of a mixed blood dragon bloodline." Xiao Chen. It's Xiao Chen. Father, what did you do to him? Don't hand him over to Ancestor Dragon City. Lu Riyue immediately guessed who it was. Then, she gave the White Dragon King a pitiful look. The White Dragon King sighed in his heart. Then, he said helplessly, "It was indeed him. However, I already let him go and did not make things difficult for him. Why didn't you keep him here?" Lu Riyue immediately retorted angrily. The White Dragon King smiled embarrassedly. "I'm really in the wrong now. It was wrong to keep him here, but it was wrong not to keep him here either. Xiao Chen, the Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chen, who caused a series of commotion recently and successfully practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist. To think that he dares to remain in the Divine Dragon Empire. The Golden Dragon Palace commissioned Ancestor Dragon City to issue a wanted order. However, Lu Riyue felt incredibly shocked, clearly surprised. Unexpectedly, this person whom she felt so close to had such an identity. Isn't that very dangerous? Father, please save him, Lu Riyue said worriedly. The White Dragon King showed a grave expression as he sighed softly. This trouble is worse than you imagine. Actually, he did not offend Ancestor Dragon City. He offended the Golden Dragon Palace. Back then, when news of him successfully practicing the Supreme Dragon Fist spread, the Golden Dragon Palace prepared to make a move against him. This time, the Supreme Dragon Fist suppressed the Emperor Dragon Fist, making the Golden Dragon Palace nervous. What is the difference between offending Ancestor Dragon City and the Golden Dragon Palace? Lu Riyue felt confused, not understanding. Lu Riyue entered deep thought. Then, she said softly, "If he offends Ancestor Dragon City, everything will be handled according to the rules. At the very least, he will not die. After investigating the truth, if he is not a spy and there is nothing suspicious about his identity, Ancestor Dragon City might even let bygones be bygones and nurture him. If he offends the Golden Dragon Palace, it will be problematic. If the purple Gold Dragon Emperor rages, how can anyone survive? Father, I don't care. You have to save him." When Lu Riyue heard that, her expression immediately turned unsightly. Only now did she realize the severity of the matter. Lu Riyue looked at the White Dragon King and said, "Adoptive father, this person can be saved. The other Dragon Kings probably do not want him to die. If he lives, he will make the Golden Dragon Palace's people nervous. It might even affect the fight to become the Dragon Emperor." What made the Golden Dragon bloodline nervous was not Xiao Chen, but Xiao Chen's Supreme Dragon Fist. The influence that this fist technique had back then was simply too heaven-defying. The previous generation Heaven Dragon nearly used the Supreme Dragon Fist to change the world. It would be a lie to say that the Qin clan, the royal clan of the Golden Dragon bloodline, was not nervous. The White Dragon King observed Lu Ruyue's expression. It looked like this Xiao Chan did not say anything strange to Lu Ruyue, forcefully evoking her memories. He was rather smart. I'll think about this matter. The two of you should not interfere, especially you. Do you hear me? The White Dragon King pointed at Lu Ruyue and threatened her before leaving. Now, only Lu Ruyue and Lu Ruyun remained on the lake. Lu Ruyue smiled and said, "Elder sister, your words are still the most effective." Based on father's appearance, he probably agreed. Lu Ruyue smiled faintly and said, "It's hard to say. The things involved are much more complicated than you imagine. At adoptive father's level, no matter what decision he makes, he will not be affected by emotions. He will only make decisions related to benefits. Of course, you are an exception. Is that so? Why do I feel that he does not care about me at all? He locked me up in the White Dragon Palace for many years, not letting me out," Lu Ruyue said in dissatisfaction. Chapter 2023. Are you done? Kacha. On this day, when night was about to fall, Xiao Chun got up from the barren mountain where he was cultivating. As long as an aristocratic family had a divine physique, it was a sign of prosperity. As long as his god body grew normally, he could be invincible and achieve an earth-shaking undertaking. This person was a peak consummation wholly venerate, only half a step away from sovereign personage. This person was a Dragon's Gate inner palace disciple. Your Highness, there's nothing in the south either. In this world of light, the fresh blood was particularly eye-catching. It was like a blood-colored datura flower blossoming in Xiao Chen's palm. If he was strong enough, he wouldn't need to worry so much. If he was strong enough, he wouldn't need his friends to risk their lives to save him. I am Qin Feng, an inner palace disciple of the Dragon's Gate. Sorry for disturbing your cultivation. We do not have any ill intentions. As long as you remove your mask and reveal your identity, we will leave. Unlike now, when he had to sneak around even when he was leaving. Sooner or later, he would return in a dignified and above-board manner. A handsome man in a purplish-golden dragon robe slowly appeared in the forest with a regal aura emanating from his body. As the Golden Dragon Palace narrowed down the scope, it started to target people with suspicious characteristics. Now that his worries were gone, Xiao Chun set out on his journey. Wearing the Death God mask, he hurried through the night. All of a sudden, Qin Feng's countenance changed. There seemed to be an accident happening below. After 2 months of bitter cultivation, Xiao Chun continuously improved his divine dragon body tempering art, heading for peak consummation of the 6th layer. It was called the Divine Body. Don't flatter me. I'm just a pawn. It was time to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. In the Divine Dragon Empire, there was naturally only one person who could be addressed as the Crown Prince. Just at this moment, dragon roars resounded in the surroundings. Figures continuously gathered in the air towards the desolate mountain. He was very sure that the other party had not confirmed his identity and was only guessing and suspecting him. During the day, Xiao Chan would find a quiet place to cultivate the divine dragon body tempering art. At night, he would wear the Death God mask and travel. Space was in chaos. Before the two of them could do anything, they were pulled into the world within Xiao Chen's palm. Looking at the corpses of the Dragon Protection Squad members on the ground, Zhang Xian searched the area and fell deep in thought. The Golden Dragon Palace's wise men deduced that Xiao Chun had a treasure that could hide his aura. The Golden Dragon Palace's wise man deduced that Xiao Chun had a treasure that could hide his aura. It could isolate all auras and even prevent him from being divined. Qin Feng's expression changed drastically. In the end, he was a Dragon's Gate inner palace disciple. He was extremely decisive. Exactly how much the Golden Dragon royalty hate Xiao Chun of the Divine Dragon to the Dragon Guards. The true Divine Dragon War body completely changed one's physique, becoming an acquired divine body. All kinds of constitutions had all kinds of incredible effects. Among this group of special constitutions, there were very few that stood out, and even they had to look up to these special constitutions. To this the Chan to the various physique, Xiao to was Long Yin a one, A and A2 and a Chan a this. To the A the dragon I, Chun, of Chun. Demon, Shao, spirit of Tawaz. Shao from Chun Chun of realm of Chun Chun, Chun Chun, and of to the Golden Dragon Palace's upper echelon. This was practically impossible. To think that it was so difficult to find a person. The purple gold dragon emperor ordered that we would rather kill the wrong person than let him off. Qin Feng's expression turned grave as he said seriously, "You do not understand what the Supreme Dragon Fist means. All the more, you do not understand what it means for that person to use the Supreme Dragon Fist to defeat the Emperor Dragon Fist. If you do not pay attention to it while it is still a flame, when it becomes an overwhelming flame, you will not be able to extinguish it. That would be a tragedy. Even if that person was not Shao Chun, he would not be someone to offend. He had an extremely strange temper. Right under the mask, Shao Chun showed a calm expression, not flustered at all. One could easily imagine how horrifying it was. Aside from that, everything was fine. The remaining dragon guards beside Qin Feng said, "Young Master Qin, what do you think the chances of this person being Shao Chun are?" 2 days later in this forest, the Death God mask had its own secret technique, Void Shadow. When used with the third layer of Firmament's Rage, Shao Chun subdued the enemy in one move. Plants grew wildly in the forest below. Unexpectedly, the boundless saber formation formed by 10-odd dragon guards got trapped. Shao Chun spat out a mouthful of turbid chi and said softly, 150 Cauldron Force. This was a group of strong factions that only obeyed the Golden Dragon royalty. They spread throughout the empire, infiltrating every nook and cranny. As long as Shao Chun was in the Divine Dragon Empire, this group of people would find him sooner or later. In that case, I can only make things difficult for him. What surprised Shao Chun was that the ones who appeared the most were not the Blood Dragon Guards, but cultivators with the Golden Dragon race bloodline. As Shao Chun guessed, Lu Riyue had indeed lost her memories. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The dragon guards were stunned for a moment before following. When they arrived beside Qin Feng, they were greatly startled. How can it be like this? Whoosh. After 2 months of pursuit, they had found nothing. There were no traces of Shao Chun in the Divine Dragon Empire. The 5-element divine lightning flowed in Qin Feng's palm. Together with the boundless saber light, it formed a small world in his palm. Shao Chun slowly understood what the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor meant. In the end, there was only one reason for today's sorry state. He was not strong enough. However, since such people purposely hid their auras, the ones they ran into were not kind. That was enough. Shao Chun did not have much time to think. He leaped up and flew over. Boundless saber chi spread out, frantically chopping down tree branches and sending shrapnel flying. These people were also prepared to fight at the slightest disagreement. Not long after, more and more people rushed over from all directions. Every time someone arrived, they would kneel down on one knee and respectfully report their arrival. However, it seemed like the faster they chopped, the faster the tree grew. The more they chopped, the taller and larger the tree became. By the time they startled awake, they were already trapped, unable to show themselves. You want to leave now? It's too late. Reaching peak consummation of the Divine Dragon Body Tempering Art was just the beginning. The earlier Divine Dragon War Body was a joke. Shao Chun was not in a rush. The more anxious he was, the easier it would be for things to go wrong. Your Highness the Crown Prince, we have already searched 50 kilometers to the east. There is no sign of young Master Qin Feng's corpse. Being able to see Lu Riyue one last time before leaving the Divine Dragon Empire satisfied Shao Chun's wish. A light flashed in Shao Chun's eyes. He desired to become stronger, filled with ambition for his strength. At the foot of the White Dragon Palace, Shao Chun looked up. He could still see the bright moon, but he could not see the beauty under it. Bang! Let's go. There's no saving these people. They offended someone they should not have offended. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. Aside from the Dragon God crowned Prince Qin Ming, there was no one else. At some point in time, Shao Chun appeared above the two and executed the third layer of Firmament's Rage. The dragon protecting guard shouted, but the saber formation did not fall into chaos. It materialized a huge dragon of saber light, radiating boundless killing chi in hot pursuit. Did this matter really startle the Dragon Emperor? An insignificant holy venerate actually angered the purple gold Dragon Emperor, to the point that he personally issued a kill order. In this world, there is a small group of people who were born with a special physique, possessing physical bodies that ordinary people could not compare to. Xiao Qian's figure flashed. Having been prepared for this, he easily dodged and headed for the dense forest. Qin Feng's expression turned cold as he waved his hand. The surrounding dragon protecting guards instantly drew their weapons and formed a saber formation surging with killing chi, surrounding Xiao Qian. Xiao Qian took down these two holy venerates, who could fight with ordinary sovereign personages, in one move. The 10-odd dragon protecting guards formed a saber formation that materialized saber lights, filling the air. They formed a boundless killing formation, wanting to forcefully pull in Xiao Qian. As for the divine dragon body tempering art, it used a cultivation technique and a dragon race bloodline to form an acquired divine body. When Xiao Qian punched, his vital chi immediately surged like a dragon, moving around continuously. The force exploded in the fist light, producing a piercing sound that shook the surroundings. The desolate mountain under Xiao Qian's feet trembled. This allowed the clan to rise up and prosper for tens of thousands of years, perhaps even longer. During the 10 days of hiding, Xiao Qian felt that even wearing the death god mask might not be foolproof. Qin Yun's expression remained calm. However, the other Ancestor Dragon City disciples around him all held their weapons in their hands. Xiao Qian could not use the transportation formation or send out the demon blood vulture. If he relied on his movement technique, he would need some time to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. Sorry, I'm afraid I cannot agree to your request. Qin Feng left on a whim, directly abandoning this group of dragon protecting guards, not caring about their lives. These are the dragon protecting guards. Soon, a group of dragon race cultivators gathered in front of Xiao Qian. The leader wore golden dragon robes with Ancestor Dragon City's insignia on his chest. Blood dripped from his robes, looking very alluring. Xiao Qian nodded and said, I can't remain in this place. I have to leave quickly. When I cultivate this divine dragon body tempering art to peak consummation, I will be able to undergo a rebirth, becoming no different from a true divine body. At that time, not only will my cultivation advance rapidly, but my physical body will also be terrifyingly strong. As the news continued to spread, the purple gold-robed youth said softly, This is the first time a royal clan disciple died in the past 2 months. No matter who it is, I will find you. The miserable shrieks in the dense forest below finally stopped. Sang leaped out and arrived beside Xiao Qian. Lightning flashed, saber light flashed, and flesh flew everywhere. Firmament's rage. Xiao Qian's calm voice came from under the mask, containing a trace of cold smile. As Xiao Qian waved his hand, boundless rage spread out in all directions. This person was very polite, further confirming Xiao Qian's guess that the other party had not confirmed his identity. Xiao Qian prepared to attack at any moment. Cultivation techniques that could allow one to cultivate and acquire divine body were extremely rare in the world, few in number. Xiao Qian clenched his fist. The world in his palm no longer had any blind spots. After a while, he let go. Xiao Qian withdrew his gaze and hid his thoughts in the depths of his heart. Then, he left under the cover of night. I'll leave it like this, then. Furthermore, there was something strange about the Death God mask, which could easily give rise to negative emotions. The disciples of the Dragon Protection Squad and the Qin family had all suffered quite a bit over the past 2 months, so their attitudes had become much more polite. Chapter 2024. As time passed, Xiao Qian approached the Divine Dragon Empire's border. Since killing Qin Feng and the group of dragon protecting guards, Xiao Qian had encountered more and more attacks. However, this cannot be blamed on Xiao Qian. When the huge gears of an empire started moving, the various organizations worked together. Even with the Death God mask, it was only a matter of time before he got targeted. There was no lack of wise people in the empire. since you disappeared silently, you definitely have a treasure that can isolate your aura. There was no doubt about it. If that person changed directions and investigated these suspicious people one by one, he would eventually find them. This was something that Xiao Chan could guess. However, he could not guess that the divine Dragon Crown Prince would make a move to hunt him down as well. Condensing Cloud City. This was the last major city at the northern border of the Empire, and one could leave the Divine Dragon Empire. This was the route that Xiao Chun took to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. On a grassland 5,000 kilometers away from the city, Xiao Chun wiped the blood off his tyrant saber. The corpses of the dragon protecting guards littered the grassland. As Xiao Chun approached the border, the intensity of the pursuit increased. Along the way, Xiao Chun changed his path several times, moving without any pattern. However, he would be found soon. It was hard to imagine how difficult the journey would be without the Death God mask. Xiao Chun would probably be found in less than half a month. After passing this city, I should be able to leave the Divine Dragon Empire. Xiao Chun looked into the distance. Although he could not see the silhouette of a city at the limits of his vision, he could sense condensing Cloud City with his spiritual sense. Where do you intend to go next? Sang asked as he looked at Xiao Chun after dealing with the corpses. After leaving the Divine Dragon Empire, he would be free to soar in the vast sky and swim in the vast sea. No matter how vast the world was, there would always be a place for him, Xiao Chun. There were many places that he wanted to go. Xiao Chun even considered returning to the Kunlun realm. However, given Xiao Chen's current cultivation, it would take too much time to go there. He could go to the Yinwu dynasty. His senior brother, Yi Zifeng, was in the Yinwu dynasty's imperial capital and had some friendship with the soaring dragon marquis. He could also go to the Tianwu dynasty. If he was lucky, he might be able to find news of Chu Chaoyan. Xiao Chun could go to the Golden Crow Empire, the top of the 8 great empires. Ao Jiao and Yellow Feather were both there, so it was not a bad choice. Even if he could not go anywhere, he could leave the Central Great Realm and go to the Forbidden Seas to search for Xiao Soa. The Black Cutlass Pirate Group obtained the Scarlet Blood Pirate King's inheritance and did very well in the 7 great Forbidden Seas. With so many choices, Xiao Chun could not make any. Let's go to the Azure Dragon's Old Lands first. We can decide what to do after that. Xiao Chun said softly after thinking for a while. Beluchin long ago, they existed for a very long time. I recall that the Azure Dragon bloodline was the leader of the Divine Dragons during the martial epoch. Sang said softly as he recalled. A thought occurred to Xiao Chun. In that case, do you know why the blue dragon died? Sang smiled bitterly. My memories come from the propping mulberry tree. The propping mulberry tree was just a bystander. I could understand these things. Indeed, that was so. Xiao Chun felt somewhat disappointed. He could only rely on himself to find out more. The imprisoned Heaven Dragon in the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison once said that he had been to the Blue Dragon's old land and seemed to know some secrets. However, the Heaven Dragon did not tell Xiao Chun where the Blue Dragon's old land was. Xiao Chun could only search for information about the Blue Dragon's old land in the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories. Then, he compared it to the current map to see if he could find it. Let's leave this place first. After looking around, Xiao Chun found a desolate place. Then, he took out the Divine Universe Steel. Then, he entered it together with Sang. Now that he had the Death God mask, he could no longer rest easy. He could only take out his final trump card. Unfortunately, after entering the Divine Universe Steel, he could not control it. Otherwise, he could directly hide in the Divine Universe Steel and use it to travel. There would be no risk at all. The world inside the Divine Universe Steel was chaotic, like an unrepaired wasteland. In the future, if you have sufficient resources, you can actually open up a world in this Divine Universe Steel, Sang said softly as he looked around, finding this somewhat unfortunate. This was a spatial divine tool that many sovereign emperors yearned for. However, Xiao Chun could not make use of it. Xiao Chun appeared somewhat helpless. How could he not know that the Divine Universe Steel was just a slightly larger storage ring in his hands? He could not discover its many wondrous uses. In reality, Shao Chun had only infused his spiritual sense mark into this divine universe steel. He had not completely refined it. Furthermore, Shao Chun could not say that it was his. If an expert came and snatched it, they could casually erase his spiritual sense mark, and the treasure would instantly change owners. Apart from the two of them, there was also a 7-colored coiling dragon tree and a sapling of the propping mulberry tree. The 7-colored coiling dragon fruits on the coiling dragon tree flickered with different colors. Shao Chun sat cross-legged under the tree, cultivating the divine dragon body tempering art. Shao Chun hoped to master this body tempering art soon and obtain an acquired divine body. Sang took care of the propping mulberry tree sapling at the side. After the sky turned dark, Shao Chun came out of the divine universe steel and placed it in his body before continuing on his way. A distance of 10,000 miles was not considered far for him. Traveling at full speed, Shao Chun arrived in front of Condensing Cloud City in less than 4 hours. Condensing Cloud City remained brightly lit at night, looking extraordinarily bustling. The border cities were indeed bustling. Aside from the dangerous Forbidden Lands, the nearby borders were guarded by dragon race armies, patrolling day and night. If Shao Chun wanted to cross the border, passing through this city was the most suitable choice. Otherwise, if he took a detour, he would have to travel for another year or so, which would be extremely troublesome. Shao Chun removed the death god mask, and his facial bones moved. After a while, he looked like someone else. This level of disguise could only change one's appearance. It could not hide one's aura. To experts, this was not very useful. Shao Chun had lived in the Divine Dragon Empire for a long time. He had to have left his aura on some items in the hands of the Blood Dragon Guards and the Dragon Protecting Squad. However, he had to take a risk at the final stage. Shao Chun believed that, be it the Blood Dragon Guards or the Dragon Protecting Squad, he should have left them behind. As long as he rushed, he should be able to cross the border smoothly. Before the city gates, Shao Chun saw his portrait on a wanted poster pasted on the city walls. Fortunately, the cultivators guarding the city gates were not very strong. Shao Chun's expression did not change. After handing over the primeval heavenly pills, he smoothly entered the city. At the same time, on the savannah where he fought during the day, the Dragon God Crown Prince, Qin Ming, stood on the ground and looked around, his expression changing. After a while, the Dragon Protecting Squad appeared and reported the information they collected to him. Interesting. I'm one step too slow every time. I really don't believe that this is a coincidence. Qin Ming revealed a mocking smile on his handsome face. He was well aware of the hidden obstruction of certain factions. If the Dragon God Crown Prince could not find Shao Chun at the start, it would be understandable. Now, the Dragon God Crown Prince had narrowed down significantly. To think that he still could not stop the other party. This was truly strange. However, this made sense. The other Divine Dragon Palaces would be happy to see such a person succeed. They would not be willing to let the Golden Dragon Palace's people kill him. Your Highness the Crown Prince, that person should have arrived at Condensing Cloud City already. We can send a command to the Condensing Cloud City's city lord to seal the city first. Then, we can catch him like a turtle in a jar. A dragon protecting squad member suggested, sounding very reasonable. However, Qin Ming said indifferently, there's no need. Some people are probably already prepared and cannot be stopped. He is destined to leave the Divine Dragon Empire alive. Your Highness, there is no need to be so pessimistic. We will charge over tonight. Who dares to stop the Dragon Protecting Squad? What if it is the Blood Dragon Guards? The group of Dragon Protecting Guards revealed shocked expressions. Clearly, they were somewhat shocked. Why would the Blood Dragon Guard side with Shao Chun? However, they did not dare to question Qin Ming, not daring to say anything. All of you withdraw. There is no need for the Dragon Protecting Squad to participate in the remaining matters. I already made arrangements long ago. No matter who it is, they will not be able to protect you. Confidence flashed in Qin Ming's eyes as he waved his hand for the Dragon Protecting Squad to withdraw. Yes, the Dragon Protecting Squad members withdrew, not daring to resist. Qin Ming looked at the city in the distance under the night sky. Then, he stood upright with his hands behind his back and said indifferently, "Since I guessed your plans, how could I not have made arrangements?" Chapter 2025. Under the night sky, in condensing Cloud City, Xiao Chun walked the streets. Even though it was late at night, this border city was still bustling with activity, brightly lit. Xiao Chun did not choose to rashly exit closed-door cultivation. Instead, he found an inconspicuous inn to check in. After checking in, he sat down cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. The divine dragon body tempering art's energy circulated in his body. The rhythm of his breathing slowly changed along with the energy. After a while, azure-colored dragon chi soared up from Xiao Chen's body, burning like flames. The flames slowly burned up all the impurities in Xiao Chen's body, expelling them bit by bit. After 3 months of cultivation, Xiao Chen's divine dragon body tempering art was already very close to perfection of the 6th layer. He could break through at any moment. This was the divine dragon body tempering art. It continuously modified Xiao Chen's physical body, subtly refining it into an acquired divine body. An acquired divine body was not something that could be accomplished in a day. From the moment Xiao Chen started cultivating, the refinement of his divine body had already begun. Dragon bones, dragon tendons, dragon blood. These were changes that Xiao Chen did not realize at the start. They were preparations for an acquired divine body. When the sky brightened, the first ray of sunlight from the east shone into the room. As the sun rose in the east, purple chi arrived. Following that, strands of purple chi shone in. Azure smoke came from Xiao Chen's body. Amid the haze, crunching sounds came from his bones as they squirmed. Xiao Chen's already changed appearance forcibly recovered. Xiao Chen experienced a kind of extreme pain. He felt as if his body was being cut into pieces by thousands of knives, as if countless iron hammers were pounding on him. This was an indescribable pain. It was also a transformation that one had to experience in order to refine an acquired divine body and undergo a complete rebirth. Only when the blazing sun was high in the sky did the pain in Xiao Chen's body stop. He opened his eyes with some difficulty. The glaring sunlight made his eyes hurt. However, in the next moment, his physical body adapted to the intensity of the sunlight and released a bright light. The divine dragon body tempering art's 6th layer succeeded. Xiao Chen exhaled a long breath of turbid air. His eyes were extremely sharp. From head to toe, from inside to outside, he felt as if he had been reborn. With a thought, the vital chi in Xiao Chen's body gathered, and a formless vital chi appeared. As the vital chi flowed through Xiao Chen's body, it turned into many faint azure lines. Xiao Chen clenched his right fist and gathered the countless faint azure vital chi in his body. They instantly gathered together and formed a strand of dragon-shaped vital chi, which gathered in the fist light. Xiao Chen immediately sensed that the power contained in the fist had reached an extremely terrifying level. A total of 200 cauldrons of force. Is this a body? Xiao Chen was astonished. The change was so great that it completely exceeded his imagination. Why did you not cultivate the divine dragon body tempering art that I gave you? You have the cheek to call this the divine dragon war body? Don't embarrass me. Quickly go and cultivate the divine dragon body tempering art. Stop wasting time. The blood-soaked dragon emperor's disdainful words appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. Indeed, the blood-soaked dragon emperor did not bully him. It turned out that the divine dragon body tempering art that Xiao Chen did not pay much attention to back then was such a vast fortune. Furthermore, this was just the beginning. Xiao Chen's acquired divine body had changed Xiao Chen's physique from the very foundation. In the past, Xiao Chen only had astonishing comprehension ability. His physique and aptitude were not considered excellent. However, now that he had an acquired divine body, his comprehension ability was even better. His future potential was simply unimaginable. Gurgle. Suddenly, a strange sound came from his stomach. Strangely, Xiao Chen discovered that he was hungry. At Xiao Chen's cultivation realm, he no longer needed food in the mundane world. He only needed to satisfy his desire for good food once in a while. Now, he was actually hungry. This was truly strange. After tidying up and changing his appearance, Xiao Chun chose a window seat on the second floor of the inn. He ordered many dishes and wine in one go. After the dishes were served, he ate heartily, feeling incredibly carefree. He had not eaten to his heart's content in a long time. Dear customer, your appetite is really huge. Even those strong men among cultivators would not be able to finish all the food and wine on the table. The waiter came over and looked at Xiao Chun with a smile. It seemed like he wanted to ask for a tip. Xiao Chun smiled but did not say anything, not saying anything. After Xiao Chun's divine body was newly formed, he needed to replenish it. Naturally, others would not understand. It looks like you have not eaten anything good for a few months already. When the waiter saw that Xiao Chun did not say anything, his smile did not fade. He sat across from Xiao Chun and picked up a cup of wine to drink. Xiao Chun's heart sank as he scanned the surroundings with his spiritual sense. After carefully sizing up the place, he was shocked to discover that the guests on the second floor had been replaced by experts with withdrawn killing chi at some point in time. It's the blood dragon guards. Just as Xiao Chun felt bewildered, the waiter's expression changed. After a while, it turned into a face that Xiao Chun was familiar with. It was Vice Hall Master Li of the Law Enforcement Hall of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Little brother Xiao Chun, it looks like your disguise is not up to standard. Vice Hall Master Li looked at Xiao Chun with a smile, appearing somewhat cocky. Xiao Chun had not seen through Vice Hall Master Li's disguise. Xiao Chun wiped off the grease on his lips and said softly, I underestimated the Blood Dragon Guard's ability. I thought that I managed to deceive everyone and that no one noticed me along the way. It turns out that the Blood Dragon Guards have been watching my every move. At this point, if Xiao Chun still did not realize that the Blood Dragon Guards knew his every move, he would be a fool. Vice Hall Masterly smiled and said, There's no need to be humble. The Blood Dragon Guards spent a lot of effort to find you. If you were not in the Divine Dragon Empire, we would not have been able to find you. First Palace Master, how is it? Xiao Chun did not say anything else, only asking about the topic that he was most concerned about. Vice Hall Masterly sighed softly. You are still the Xiao Chun that I know. You did not ask me why I did not capture you first. Don't worry. The first Palace Master is fine. With his prestige in the Heaven Dragon Palace, no one dares to truly touch him. However, he will definitely not be able to escape being imprisoned for several decades. Compared to that, you should be more concerned about yourself. Xiao Chun smiled helplessly. If they want to capture me, they would have done so long ago. If I guess right, the Golden Dragon Palace has always been one step behind me. Is that also because of your contributions that the Golden Dragon Palace has been one step behind me? Indeed, that's right. The Blood Dragon Guards, the Shadow Dragon Sovereign, personally ordered us to escort you out. Don't ask me why. I don't know either. Vice Hall Masterly shrugged, indicating that he did not know. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign ordered us to escort me out of the Divine Dragon Empire? Xiao Chun felt incredibly shocked. This was truly unexpected. He had never seen that person before. Furthermore, an expert on the level of the Shadow Dragon Sovereign was not someone Xiao Chun could deal with. The Shadow Dragon Sovereign already stood at the peak of the entire Central Great Realm. Let's go. We already controlled this city in advance. The Golden Dragon Palace and the Dragon Protecting Guards will not be able to find us here, Vice Hall Masterly said as he stood up. Xiao Chun left behind a few spirit jades and stood up to leave with Vice Hall Masterly. However, he could not resolve the doubts in his heart. Vice Hall Masterly sent Xiao Chun off. As he said, Xiao Chun did not encounter any interference and came out of closed-door cultivation smoothly. When Xiao Chun looked back, he saw condensing Cloud City behind him. A vast and boundless ancient swamp lay before him. This place was called Cloud Watermarsh. There was a spring for 5 kilometers and a river for 50 kilometers. When looking from a distance, one could only see a vast mist, not knowing how deep the ancient swamp was. After stepping into Cloud Watermarsh, one would be considered to have left the Divine Dragon Empire and be completely safe. However, Cloud Watermarsh itself was not peaceful. Ferocious beasts roamed it, and the environment was complicated. Just as Xiao Chun looked around, a murderous qi surged over. Xiao Chun immediately sensed danger. It was Vicehall Master Li. To think that he attacked me. Xiao Chun did not have much time to think. In the time it took for a spark to fly, his vital qi surged as he threw a punch. Bang! Xiao Chun's fist light landed on Vicehall Master Li's right shoulder. Vicehall Master Li's palm strike landed on Xiao Chun's left shoulder. Pussy. Vicehall Master Li vomited a mouthful of blood. He nearly fainted from the pain. The bones in his right shoulder shattered, causing him to grimace in pain. The impact knocked Xiao Chun back. When he landed, he happened to land on Cloud Water Marsh. Xiao Chun was not injured at all. This startled him awake. Vicehall Master Li was putting on an act, sending him to the final floor. The Blood Dragon guards helped Vicehall Master Li up after wiping the blood off his lips. Then he smiled bitterly. This fellow is really ruthless. He nearly took half my life. That's fine. At least I can account for my injuries. Let's go back. As Xiao Chun watched Vicehall Master Li's group leave, he silently thanked them in his heart. At this moment, Xiao Chun was already outside the Divine Dragon Empire. He felt somewhat complicated. Previously, he had put in a lot of effort to get to this place. Now, for the sake of leaving, he paid an even greater price than before. Fate was truly unpredictable. The matters of the world were like a game of Go, unpredictable. But sooner or later, he would definitely come back. He would come back in an upright and above-board manner. Xiao Chun took one last look at the Empire's border at the final city. Then, he turned around and entered Cloud Water Marsh's hazy white fog. However, was he really safe after entering Cloud Water Marsh? Chapter 2026. The sky was vast and the water was vast. There was a spring for 5 kilometers around and a river for 50 kilometers around. Cloud Water Marsh lived up to its reputation. Clatter, clatter. Xiao Chun stepped on the muddy ground, traveling light as he advanced through the mist. The next 3 days were calm. Aside from some blind, ferocious beasts, there were no other disturbances. At this point, Xiao Chun relaxed, knowing that he was safe. However, he did not let down his guard. After putting in so much effort, the Golden Dragon Palace would not let him off so easily. At the very least, Xiao Chun had to cross Cloud Water Marsh. As Xiao Chun familiarized himself with his acquired divine body, he traveled. He did not fall behind in his cultivation, either. 7 days later, Xiao Chun roughly familiarized himself with his acquired divine body. Cloud Water Marsh, which had had enough, was about to leave. Everything was developing in a good direction. Woo, woo. What is that sound? A flute? However, just as Xiao Chun lowered his guard to its lowest, something strange happened. Suddenly, melodious flute music rang out in the vast mist. Xiao Chun looked around, feeling confused. The flute music surrounded him, but he could not figure it out. Xiao Chun shouted, "Which friend is playing the flute? Why not show yourself and meet me?" The flute music suddenly stopped, and a person slowly walked out of the mist in front. Xiao Chun's body was like jade, and he looked delicate and pretty. He held a flute in his hand as he floated over. Within the mist, he looked like an immortal descending to the mortal world. There were 3 scarlet marks on his forehead, forming a beautiful scarlet orchid. A white cloud flies in the depths of the white clouds. A dot of azure and red reflects the moonlight. I am Bai Yunfei. I was entrusted by Qin Ming to wait for Brother Xiao for a long time. Bai Yunfei. Xiao Chun had heard of this person before. He was the top expert of the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan's younger generation. In the White Marsh Beast Empire, he held the same status as Qin Ming. Many years ago, Bai Yunfei's name had shaken the northern region. He could be said to be unrivaled among the northern region's younger generation, extremely strong. To think that Qin Ming actually invited him out, Xiao Chun's heart sank. He said coldly, "Since when did the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan become Qin Ming's lackey?" Bai Yunfei said softly, "Brother Xiao, don't be angry. I only owe him a favor. If you have any requests, I might be able to satisfy them before I die." Xiao Chun's thoughts spun rapidly. This person's cultivation was too high. His talent, comprehension, and bloodline were all 1 in a million. He'd laid down a solid foundation long before he came to the Central World. If he was given another year and a half, he might be able to compete with this person. But now it was a little difficult. At the same time, he realized that Vice Hall Master Li and the others might have been deceived. Qin Ming might have been deliberately attracting the Blood Dragon Guard's attention in the Divine Dragon Empire. He knew that even if he were to make a move within the Empire, he would be obstructed. He might as well let him go and let Bai Yunfei kill him without any interference. What a good plan. To be able to make Qin Ming feel assured that Bai Yunfei alone would be able to intercept and kill him. This Qin Ming was truly confident. Cloudwater Marsh happened to be a place where the White Marsh Beast Empire cultivators could bring out their full combat prowess. Enough nonsense. Make your move. With a cold face, Xiao Chun paid no attention to Bai Yunfei's hypocrisy. I originally kept my heart as bright as the moon. Unfortunately, Brother Zhao's enmity for me is too deep. Bai Yunfei shook his head gently. As he held the flute with his right hand, he slowly patted his left palm. Xiao Chun narrowed his eyes. The other party's patting seemed somewhat strange. Oh no! Xiao Chun gently pushed off with his feet. In that instant, his figure soared into the air, spreading his arms. Boom! A large snake suddenly appeared where Xiao Chun originally stood, its gaping maw biting empty air. Xiao Chun could not help breaking out in a cold sweat. Had he been slower, he would have ended up in this beast's stomach. This person's heart was truly like that of a venomous snake, extremely sinister. As Bai Yunfei spoke, he actually hit a killing move in secret. Furthermore, he still appeared calm. Good movement technique. Bai Yunfei praised as he pointed with his flute. In the next moment, thousands of snake images shot out of the marsh, charging at Xiao Chun like arrows. Rumble. The ground trembled. The scene of thousands of snakes flying was truly shocking. When they appeared at the same time, they erupted with an aura even more terrifying than dragon might. Let's see how you break this. My flute already controlled all the large snakes within 5,000 kilometers. Bai Yunfei stood upright with his hands behind his back, appearing calm and confident in the mist. In Bai Yunfei's opinion, from the moment Xiao Chun saw him, Xiao Chun was already a dead man. The only thing left to guess was whether Bai Yunfei would finish off Xiao Chun in 3 moves, 2 moves, or 1 move. Firmament's rage. Just as Bai Yunfei was calculating how Xiao Chun would block and how he would deal a fatal blow after being severely injured, Xiao Chun, who was in the air, suddenly opened his palm. In that instant, he caught all the thousands of snake images in his palm. Boom! Xiao Chun clenched his fist. When he opened his palm again, blood spurted into the air. Lightning and saber lights rained down in the sky. Xiao Chun's palm strike broke the killing move that he set up calmly. Go! While the other party was stunned, Xiao Chun turned into a flash of lightning and flew over Bai Yunfei's head. Damn it! Bai Yunfei was startled and furious. He had not expected Xiao Chun to break this move so easily. By the time the shock passed, Xiao Chun had already turned into a flash of lightning, flying 500 kilometers away. You want to run? It's not that simple. Clouds with a flip of the hand. Bai Yunfei revealed a grave expression for the first time. With a wave of his hand, mist soared for 5,000 kilometers around, condensing into an unending stream of white clouds. Just as the righteous Dao's Xiao Chun was feeling uncertain, the white clouds for 5,000 kilometers around suddenly turned into towering mountains, falling down one after another. Xiao Chun was forced to reveal himself. He continuously punched out, shattering the mountains. His speed was greatly restricted. Rain with a flip of the hand. Bai Yunfei shouted coldly and attacked again. Fine rain fell from the white clouds for 5,000 kilometers around. This water is poisonous? When Xiao Chun came into contact with a drop, he immediately discovered that his veritable essence energy was being suppressed. The white rainwater turned into black, poisonous gas that relentlessly attacked his physical body. Fortunately, Xiao Chun already had an acquired divine body and did not fear this poisonous water. However, the rain continued endlessly, corroding his body. In the end, it was a problem. Xiao Chun cursed in his heart. This person is really like a venomous snake, sinister and vicious and relentless. After being targeted, it is extremely troublesome to shake him off. After being targeted by me, by Yunfei, you still want to leave? Bai Yunfei flew up, moving like a venomous snake. A jade-green light appeared in his eyes, and his figure moved strangely fast. Die. Xiao Chun ignored the poisonous rain in the air. He took out the god's shadow bow, turned around, and fired an arrow. Bai Yunfei drew back the bowstring and released. The arrow arrived before Bai Yunfei at a frighteningly fast speed. A soul tool. This startled Bai Yunfei, but he did not fluster in the face of danger. He gathered his sovereign will on his forehead and shot it out, immediately pausing the arrow. Then, Bai Yunfei quickly dodged, leaving only an afterimage. Boom! The arrow struck the afterimage and instantly tore it apart. The arrow continued forward, blasting a huge pit in the ground. Bai Yunfei dodged this arrow by a hair's breadth. He frowned heavily, revealing an even graver expression. Unexpectedly, the other party had a soul tool. That was to say, he had a chance of killing Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun was no longer in an invincible position. Now there was the risk of dying. I just knew that Qin Ming's mission would not be easy. Bai Yunfei cursed in his heart. He felt that Qin Ming had tricked him. Killing this Xiao Chun was not an easy task. Originally, Bai Yunfei thought that he could kill Xiao Chun in a few moves and return the favor to Xiao Chun. Now, it looked like things were not that simple. That's fine as well. Let me see how many arrows you can shoot. Bai Yunfei soared up and gave chase again. He actually missed. Since using the God Shadow Bow, this was the first time that Xiao Chun missed an opponent. The poisonous rain had already sealed off the path in front. Xiao Chun clenched his teeth and relied on his divine dragon war body to endure the rain as he continued flying forward. As long as Xiao Chun left Cloud Water Marsh, the other party would not be so terrifying. At that time, he would have a much greater chance of escaping. This fellow's physical body, Bai Yunfei felt incredibly shocked when he saw Xiao Chun moving through the rain. Bai Yunfei understood the horror of the poison in the rain the best. He had once relied on this poison to kill 10 sovereign personages when he was a holy venerate, shaking up the northern region. Now, someone could move about fearlessly in this poisonous rain. How could Bai Yunfei not be shocked? This person has to die. Bai Yunfei made up his mind. Even if Qin Ming did not kill Xiao Chun, he had to deal with this future problem. To think that Xiao Chen's killing move failed. In the future, Xiao Chun would definitely be Xiao Chen's nemesis. Chapter 2027. Braving the poisonous rain, Xiao Chun ran as if he was flying. Every time his feet touched the surface of the swamp, he would travel 100 miles, 10,000 meters in an instant. At some point, Bai Yunfei was already standing under a white snake. The huge white snake was wriggling on the ground. However, its speed was even faster, and it did not need to worry about the effects of the poisonous rain on itself. He had the white snake chase after Xiao Chun fearlessly. At this rate, it wouldn't take long for the white snake to catch up to him. Moreover, he could still maintain his physical strength and true essence, so victory was within his grasp. Actually, Bai Yunfei could fly even faster. However, he feared the God Shadow Bow in Xiao Chen's hand. If he was caught off guard and was hit by an arrow, it would be troublesome. With the white snake chasing after Xiao Chun, he would be more confident of dodging the God Shadow Bow's arrows. However, the edge of Cloud Water Marsh was right in front of him, giving Xiao Chun a trace of hope. Hua! Xiao Chun suddenly felt his whole body relax. The world in front of him suddenly became clear, and a vast wasteland appeared in front of him. The blazing sun was scorching, and the land was scarlet, for thousands of Li vegetation was sparse, and life was scarce. What is this place? Desolate Sea. Xiao Chun thought for a moment and remembered this place. This was the central world, a vast and boundless region. The northern region and eastern region combined were not as vast as the Desolate Sea. The Desolate Sea lay between the northern region, the eastern region, and the Xiuwu dynasty. Rumor had it that it was the main battlefield of the previous Great War between righteous factions and demonic factions. It was originally a blessed land that was comparable to a fairyland, but after the Great Battle, everything turned to dust and became what it was today. There was no sea, but the vast and boundless desolate land was simply too vast. It was as vast as a continent or ocean. Hence, this land was called the Desolate Sea. Shao Chun had not expected that in his panic, he would end up here from Cloud Water Marsh. However, that did not matter. He could compare it to the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories and the map of reality. The Blue Dragon's old land seemed to be in the Desolate Sea. It seemed like the heavens were also fated to send him to the Blue Dragon's homeland to follow in the footsteps of his ancestors. Woo-woo. The sound of the flute was melodious and moving. Bai Yunfei chased after it. Hearing the sound of the flute, Shao Chun frowned slightly. A murderous look flashed in his eyes. This was not the way to go on. Even the God Shadow Bao could not scare the other party away. If he didn't teach Bai Yunfei a lesson, he wouldn't learn his lesson. We reached the Desolate Sea, standing on the head of the White Snake. Bai Yunfei took a look at the surroundings and was slightly astonished. Unknowingly, Shao Chun had chased them so far, arriving at the Desolate Sea. Looking around, he quickly locked onto Shao Chun's position. Snakes were most sensitive to smell. Now that he had smelled Shao Chun, it would be extremely difficult for him to completely escape from his pursuit. So be it the Desolate Sea. This place is really annoying. The dry temperature and the scorching sun above their heads made Bai Yunfei, who specialized in the element of water, somewhat uncomfortable. The giant snake beneath his feet was also in a bad mood. There was no need to waste any more time on this mixed blood dragon. Bai Yunfei flung his sleeves gently. He decided to go all out, not holding anything back. Shao Chun's aura suddenly soared, reaching a horrifying level. The beautiful orchid formed by the 3 dots on his forehead looked like it would drip off at any moment. In the next moment, Shao Chun pushed off the head of the white snake with his feet. He placed the flute by his mouth and used his veritable essence energy to blow it. As wondrous flute music rang out, Shao Chun's figure soared into the air. The surrounding scenery changed continuously, looking like he teleported. Shao Chun was scarily fast, more than twice as fast as the white snake. Bang, bang, bang. What was even more horrifying was that the sound of the flute reverberated in the air. Everywhere it passed, it was an indiscriminate sound wave attack. Mountains flattened, and the scarlet ground exploded. Lava spewed out of the ground, and rocks floated in the air. This was a scene of the end of the world. No matter where Shao Chun hid, as long as Bai Yunfei caught up, he would be injured by the sound waves. There would be no space for him to dodge. Suddenly, the flute music stopped. Bai Yunfei frowned heavily as he put down the flute. Then he looked around in shock. It's gone. That's right. It's gone. The aura was still incredibly clear a moment ago. In the next moment, all traces of Shao Chun's aura vanished. It was like this person had been erased from the world, no longer existing. Where is he? Bai Yunfei exclaimed softly. Then he suddenly looked up and discovered that demonic clouds for 5,000 kilometers had covered the sky at some point in time. The instant Bai Yunfei looked up, a pair of eyes happened to appear in the demonic clouds, staring at him in a daze. A demonic Dao expert. Bai Yunfei's expression changed slightly as he looked into the distance. A black-cloaked figure stood on a mountain peak in front. This person wore a white mask that looked like paint. 2 strange scriptures were written vertically on the exquisite mask. Bai Yunfei probed the person and was shocked to discover that he could not sense this person's cultivation. The Desolate Sea connected to the Xiuwu dynasty. This vast region should be the place with the most active demonic Dao cultivators in the Central Great Realm. It was not strange to run into a demonic Dao expert. Just as Bai Yunfei felt uncertain, a ferocious beast soul suddenly appeared before him. Great Desolate Ian Ferocious Beast, Qiongqi Beast. This startled Bai Yunfei. This thing was even harder to deal with than the arrows shot by the God Shadow Bao. Even though Bai Yunfei had already retreated at his fastest speed, that Xiongqi ferocious beast still managed to bite him. Then, Bai Yunfei's soul turned into a shadow and was dragged away. After the Xiongqi ferocious beast bit Bai Yunfei, a jade pendant on Bai Yunfei's neck gave off a ring of white light and forcefully pulled the incomplete soul back into the physical body. Bai Yunfei cried out in pain as he held his forehead. His complexion paled as he retreated frantically. A soul tool. It's another soul tool. When Bai Yunfei saw the Qiongqi beast ghost pendant in the cloaked person's hand, his heart thumped wildly. What's wrong with me today? First, I ran into Xiao Chun, who casually took out a soul tool. To think that a random demonic Dao cultivator has a soul tool as well. Isn't a soul tool a sex soul tool? Could it be that the world has changed? In the future, I have to carry a soul tool when I go out. Bai Yunfei felt so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He had not suffered such a loss in a long time. His soul actually sustained severe injuries. If not for Bai Yunfei having a defensive soul technique secret treasure, he would have died here. Why did you attack me for no reason? Without a reason, Bai Yunfei, absolutely will not let this matter rest. Bai Yunfei felt that his name was rather famous in the desolate sea. Regular demonic Dao experts would give him some face. Even if they did not give him face, they would give the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan some face. The Bai clan was an overlord of a region in the central Great Realm. Haha, I just caught a good physical body and am refining it into a demonic soul. You use sound waves to kill your way here, and you actually dare to ask me why I attacked you? Scram. If not for you being a Bai clan disciple, I would have refined you as well. A sinister voice came from the black-clad person. Bai Yunfei felt startled. I just caught a physical body. Could it be, might I ask, Senior, if the physical body you caught was wearing white clothes and was poisoned? I have no comment. Quickly scram. However, Bai Yunfei only smiled at the black-clad person's rage. It looked like it was true. No wonder Xiao Chan disappeared without a trace. It turned out that the soul-devouring sex people dealt with Xiao Chun, even refining his soul. TSK. How miserable. The pain of having one's soul refined was so painful that one could neither live nor die. One would have to suffer torment for life. A fellow who practiced the Supreme Dragon Fist should have a limitless future. To think that he ended up in such a state. This was really lamentable. Bai Yunfei immediately felt that the injury to his soul was nothing much. Instead, he felt somewhat guilty. He was the one who forced Bai Yunfei into such a state. In some sense, it was because of him. However, don't blame me. Just die obediently in my hands. There would not be so much pain. Sorry for disturbing Senior. I will take my leave first. I really did not know that Senior was refining a ghost pendant. Bai Yunfei smiled faintly. After apologizing, he performed a cupped fist salute and took his leave. After the other party left and entered Cloudwater Marsh, Xiao Chen slowly removed his mask on the summit. There's no need to apologize. I should be the one apologizing. Xiao Chen muttered to himself. Then, he looked at the Qiongqi beast ghost pendant, which still contained a strand of Bai Yunfei's soul. I should keep this strand of soul first. Perhaps I can use it in the future. I have to find a place to treat my injuries first. I still have to force out the poison in my body. To severely injure Bai Yunfei, Xiao Chun nearly overdrew on his soul energy to activate the Qiongqi beast ghost pendant. However, it was all worth it. Chapter 2028. Inside Cloudwater Marsh, Bai Yunfei sat on the huge snake, holding his forehead as he walked back in satisfaction. However, 1 hour later, the more Bai Yunfei thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. If it was really a demonic Dao expert, would he really show mercy after severely injuring him? Given the nature of demonic Dao experts, if Bai Yunfei were in his peak state, they would definitely be very polite after reporting his name, not daring to act rashly. However, would a demonic Dao expert with a soul tool remain indifferent after severely injuring him? Bai Yunfei's soul was much stronger than Xiao Chen's. To the soul-devouring sex people, it was a great supplement filled with temptation. No matter what, Bai Yunfei had to go back and take a look. Whoosh! Bai Yunfei gently waved the flute in his hand, and the clouds and fog for 5,000 kilometers around scattered. Bai Yunfei leaped up and soared into the air with his hands behind his back. The expression on his handsome face changed continuously. Clearly, his emotions fluctuated. After 15 minutes, Bai Yunfeng, who was flying at full speed, returned to the place where he negotiated with the black-clad man. However, the mountain summit was empty. There was no one there. Bai Yunfei's exquisite and handsome facial features twitched involuntarily as he gritted his teeth. He clenched his right fist tightly, and his body trembled slightly. A terrifying, murderous intent spread in his heart. I got played. It would be impossible to refine the ghost pennant in a short time. If the other party had not lied, he would not have left at this moment. Bai Yunfei was a smart person. Naturally, he would not hold on to any hope at this moment, saying some self-consoling words. He had to admit that Xiao Chun had tricked him. To think that a plaything dared to reprimand him, pretending to be an expert and telling him to scram. The pitiful Bai Yunfei even believed it and apologized to the other party. Thinking about it, Bai Yunfei felt a pent-up frustration in his chest that he could not vent, feeling extremely unbearable. Not only that, but the most important thing was that the other party had injured him, yet he was secretly delighted. This was simply foolish. Even Bai Yunfei could not bear to look at it. Bai Yunfei closed his eyes and did his best to calm his emotions. His lips were still trembling. This showed how unbearable such humiliation was for Bai Yunfei. After a long time, Bai Yunfei finally opened his eyes. His expression had completely calmed down by now. Sighing, he said, "Victory and defeat are commonplace in a soldier's life. A man will always experience some setbacks in his life. It's not a good thing if things go too smoothly. This is a good lesson. I should thank him." Having said all of this, Bai Yunfei seemed to have completely let it go. He had already calmed down. However, Bai Yunfei had only taken one step when he suddenly turned around and slammed his palm down onto the mountain below him. Buzz! At the foot of the mountain, countless cracks spread out in all directions. In the next instant, the area within a radius of 10,000 li exploded. A terrifying aura swept across the place, turning the barren land into a land of death. It will be strange if I thank you. When I recover from my injuries, I will definitely come to the desolate sea to wash away today's humiliation. After venting his anger, Bai Yunfei finally calmed down. With a cold snort, he turned around and left. Naturally, Xiao Chun couldn't appreciate this wonderful scene. While riding on the demon blood vulture, Xiao Chun had already traveled more than 500,000 kilometers away from this place. He could be considered to have crossed the desolate sea's borders and truly stepped into the desolate sea that nurtured countless legends. After making sure that it was safe, Xiao Chun chose another place to land and treat his injuries. After everything calmed down, Xiao Chun discovered with some fear that he had still underestimated the poison in the rain. This poison had actually infiltrated his soul without him realizing it. No matter where the poison was, be it the internal organs, blood vessels, or bone marrow, the acquired divine body could cleanly remove it. However, the poison actually infiltrated his soul. In his soul pool, the azure-colored will of soul that represented Xiao Chen's soul was dyed with a layer of black fog. Although there wasn't much poison, it was difficult to expel. It was constantly corroding his soul. Even worse, Xiao Chun had used his soul energy to drive the Qiangqi beast ghost pennant without realizing it, causing the poison to infiltrate further. Although it was not fatal, it would be difficult to eradicate it quickly. Xiao Chun searched the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories for poisons that could corrode the soul. However, he was greatly startled. It turned out that there were hundreds of poisons that could corrode the soul in this world. There were even sinister people who could combine the poison with a curse. Even if one destroyed their soul and cultivated a part of it, they would not be able to remove the poison. As Xiao Chun continued searching for a way to detoxify the poison, he learned that the poison Bai Yunfei used was the Thousand Taste Red, which only the extremely talented people of the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan could comprehend. This poison cultivation technique had extremely harsh requirements, even more difficult than Xiao Chen's Supreme Dragon Fist. However, once one succeeded in practicing it, one would be extremely horrifying. One would not need to fear cultivators with higher cultivations. Back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor had suffered from it. Xiao Chun immediately felt some lingering fear. Now, he knew how horrifying Bai Yunfei was. How fortunate was he to be able to escape from Bai Yunfei's hands and even severely injure him. Naturally, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor did not want to suffer from such a terrifying poison cultivation technique a second time. After much effort, he finally thought of a way to detoxify the poison. Xiao Chun carefully thought about the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's method to detoxify the poison. After understanding it, he felt much more confident. According to the secret technique in the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories, he only needed 7 days to perfectly remove the poison in his soul. Woo! Woo! Just at this moment, the sound of musical instruments rang out from behind. Xiao Chun opened his eyes, and his expression changed slightly. At first, he thought that it was Bai Yunfei chasing after him. However, after a while, he discovered that was not the case. The musical instruments behind him clearly came from a group of people playing. However, there was a flute among this group of people, an exceptionally refined sound. This flute sounded like resentment and admiration. It was ethereal and refined, going on endlessly. The sound lingered in the air, its cadence pleasant to the ear. What was even more amazing was that the flute player did not deliberately stand out. Instead, the zither and pipa music around her intertwined and fused together. It was like a clear spring, twisting and turning, and she was just a fish in the spring. Occasionally, she would be lively, leaping out of the water and looking at the world in a cute and mischievous manner. Then, she would immediately fall back into the spring and flow happily with the flow. Soon, the performer of the music entered Xiao Chen's vision. It turned out to be a group of white-clad women, each looking like a fairy with a moving spirituality. They played the flute and the zither, appearing carefree and unfettered. Are they from the heavenly fragrance? Xiao Chun entered deep thought as he watched this group of women pass by, leaving only a faint fragrance lingering in the air. The heavenly fragrance was an ancient and mysterious holy land. Holy lands were existences that surpassed rank 7 sections. Like most holy lands, the heavenly fragrance rarely interfered with mundane matters. Without a doubt, the overlords of the world were the 4 dynasties, the 8 great empires, and the various rank 7 sections. However, the truly strong holy lands with ancient inheritances rarely appeared in the world. They pursued mundane benefits. Among the holy lands, the heavenly fragrance was the strangest. It always remained neutral. Even in the great war between the righteous factions and demonic factions, it would not involve the unfettered sections. The heavenly fragrance's disciples were all women. All of the disciples were as beautiful as fairies and had outstanding grace. It was said that the heavenly fragrance's sect was in the desolate sea. However, no one knew the exact location. I'm pretty lucky to be able to see a group of heavenly fragrance disciples. The earlier music seemed to still echo in Xiao Chen's ears. He revealed a faint smile as he muttered to himself. Suddenly, Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly, revealing some doubt. The heavenly fragrance's disciple, who had just passed by him, had actually turned back. Xiao Chun felt suspicious. He was not confident that he could attract the heavenly fragrance's disciples with his charm. Otherwise, they would not have passed by earlier without slowing down at all. They really came. As Xiao Chun thought this, the group of fairy-like heavenly fragrance disciples really landed before him and stopped playing the instruments in their hands. One of the people holding a flute slowly stepped forward. He was not wearing a veil. She did not wear a veil, but her face gave off a blurry feeling, like looking at flowers in the fog. It was hazy, but not to the point where one could not see anything. She should have been the one who played the flute earlier. However, what did she mean by walking over? Chapter 2029. What is she trying to do? Xiao Chun felt somewhat confused. This flute-bearing woman was already very close to him. She was less than 2 meters away. Furthermore, she was getting closer. When she was 1 meter away, she stopped. Just as Xiao Chun felt confused, a spirited voice came from the flute-bearing woman's mouth. This young master seems to be poisoned by the White Marsh Beast Empire's strange poison. Thousand taste red? So, it is because of this shout Chan smiled helplessly in his heart. For a moment, he really thought that his charm was boundless. That's right. I am indeed poisoned by the strange poison. Thousand taste red. Do the fairies of the heavenly fragrance have a way to treat me? The flute-bearing woman shook her head and said, This poison can only be treated by an elder of our sect. The process is rather troublesome. However, our sect rarely receives outsiders. Here is a detoxification pill. It can help young master for a while. I wish young master good luck. The flute-bearing woman came all the way here just to give him a medicinal pill. Even though the poison could not be completely cured, it was still a token of goodwill. Xiao Chun thanked her and received the medicinal pill. I hope that young master will be blessed by heaven. The flute-bearing woman sighed in her heart and turned to leave. Being poisoned by Thousand Taste Red was basically a dead end for a holy venerate. Although it was said that heaven helped the worthy, it was not that easy. Might I ask for young lady's name, so that I can repay this favor in the future? We are just strangers meeting by chance. It's nothing much. There is no need. The flute-bearing woman did not stop walking, drifting away with her senior and junior sisters. They came like the wind and left like the wind. They came and went in a hurry, like a dream or an immortal. If not for the faint fragrance lingering in the air of the medicinal pill in his hand, he would find it hard to believe that he had just interacted with a group of heavenly fragrance disciples. Shaking his head, Xiao Chun smiled faintly and carefully put away the medicinal pill. As Xiao Chun looked around, he entered deep thought. I have to find a city first to figure out where I am. The desolate sea was boundlessly vast, but the population was sparse. The scarcity of resources had created a valiant and unyielding people. On the endless barren land, newcomers needed some luck if they wanted to find a city without spending too much time. At dusk, on the western horizon, an incomparably huge setting sun appeared at the end of the horizon. Such a setting sun could only be appreciated in the desolate sea. It was an incredibly shocking sight to behold. After sunset, the sky quickly darkened. The temperature plummeted. It was the complete opposite of the scorching heat of the day. It was bone-chilling. Just by opening one's mouth, one would exhale cold air. Blood moon? Xiao Chun looked up and was surprised to find that the moon had appeared in the sky. However, it was a blood-red moon. This was the first time Xiao Chun had seen a blood-red moon, and he frowned. Xiao Chun seemed to have heard that the desolate sea's moon was scarlet every night. He looked around and gradually found that something was wrong. The air was cold, and there was a chill in it. It wasn't entirely because of the temperature. The yin qi in this place was extremely dense. It was said that the decisive battle between the righteous and demonic paths had taken place here. Both sides had killed until their eyes were red. This resulted in the original immortal realm turning into the current desolate sea. Who knew how many aggrieved spirits and corpses were buried under the ground? Furthermore, the desolate sea was located at the intersection of the northern region, the eastern region, and the Xiuwu dynasty. It could be said to be a chaotic place. Over the years, there had been endless killings. After the war between the righteous and demonic paths, who knew how many corpses had been buried here? Xiao Chun used his spiritual sense to listen in all directions. He could hear the terrifying wails of many aggrieved spirits and malicious spirits. Together with the blood moon in the sky and the sinister cold qi, this boundless night made one feel somewhat flustered. When Xiao Chun opened his heavenly eye, he could see scattered black resentment coming out of the cracks in the ground in the night. The resentment lingered in the air, swaying and looking very strange. It looks like this place is not suitable for traveling at night. Xiao Chun did not understand much about the desolate sea. He had only heard a little about it. Xiao Chun felt that many places in the boundless night were different from the day. This gave off an extremely dangerous feeling. He could not see through many places at all. The desolate sea's night seemed exceptionally deep. Xiao Chun had been unlucky during the day, failing to find a city. However, the night suddenly became so strange. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen chose to rest here, not advancing any further. He got the demon blood vulture to patrol the surroundings to protect him. As for Xiao Chun, he chose to continue cultivating. Now that his divine body was formed, he needed to spend more time on his cultivation. He had already been stuck at late-stage Holy Venerate for a long time. He needed to break through to Sovereign Personage as soon as possible. After losing the protection of the Heaven Dragon Palace and coming directly to the Desolate Sea, Xiao Chen's Holy Venerate cultivation was insufficient. Xiao Chen checked his resources. Of the millions of primeval heavenly pills he had, only about 500,000 remained. He probably would not be able to cultivate for long, which would be problematic. This was how things were after leaving the sect. One needed to face many things alone. However, Xiao Chen was already used to this. He maintained a good attitude and did not worry too much. Under the night sky, Xiao Chen laid a simple spirit gathering formation and infused spirit jades into it. Then, he waved his hand and consumed 100 primeval heavenly pills. Together with the spiritual energy absorbed by the spirit gathering formation, he refined them at the same time. The purple thunder divine incantation slowly circulated. Whoosh! The 100 primeval heavenly pills were digested in mere moments. After tempering his body, his cultivation speed was on a completely different level. However, his need for resources also increased exponentially. Rumble! Just as Xiao Chun cultivated, the sound of fighting came from the night sky. Based on the sound, it was not far from where Xiao Chun was. That's not right. The source of the sound was continuously approaching Xiao Chun. Soon, he sensed two auras. The two auras were very chaotic. When mixed together, it was hard to tell what exactly was going on. Xiao Chen's vision and spiritual sense were significantly affected in the night sky. Xiao Chen stopped cultivating and soared into the air. Then, he landed on the demon blood vulture's back and waited in formation. While on the demon blood vulture's back, Xiao Chun opened his heavenly eye and finally saw what was going on. A gray-clad man was currently dodging the pursuit of another person. The gray-clad man was covered in mud and looked somewhat miserable, appearing very dangerous. The humanoid ferocious beast radiated death chi, obscuring its appearance. It seemed to be someone of the demonic Tao. It was very common to run into people of the demonic Tao in the Desolate Sea. The factions of the righteous Tao and demonic Tao maintained a delicate balance in the Desolate Sea. The relationship between the cultivators of the two factions was not as tense in the Desolate Sea as it was in other places. The gray-clad man appeared extremely weak and severely injured. When he saw Xiao Chun, he rejoiced and shouted, "Friend of the dragon race, I am Qin Juolin. Can you help block the desolate slave behind?" Desolate slave? What is that? Could it be that the person behind is not a demonic Tao cultivator? Without thinking, Xiao Chun attacked decisively. Thunder Monarch Spear. Xiao Chun used the Thunder Great Tao's Thunder Tao energy to drive the five-element Divine Lightning. When the Thunder Great Tao energy infused into the five-element Divine Lightning, it quickly formed a solid spear. Whoosh! Boundless electric light burst out in all directions from a spear. A sovereign's aura spread out on the spear. Under the illumination of the electric light in the night, Xiao Chen's face appeared solemn. Bang! In the time it took for Xiao Chen to think, the Thunder Monarch spear stabbed into the strange, desolate slave chasing after him. Bang! The horrifying electric light exploded, illuminating the surroundings in the night. Qin Juolin took this opportunity to climb onto the demon blood vulture. Then he urged, "Quickly go. This thing cannot be killed. It is not something you can fight." "Is that so?" Xiao Chun looked over. Although the five-element divine lightning did not blast the strange, desolate slave into pieces, it collapsed to the ground, unable to get up. The five-element divine lightning blasted away most of the death chi on its body, causing it to twitch endlessly. Five-element divine lightning. This startled Qin Juolin. Then, joy appeared on his face. So, it is the five-element divine lightning. No wonder you dare to barge into the desolate sea as a mere holy venerate. However, we still have to leave quickly. There is still a large group behind this thing. Xiao Chun did not dare to be careless, so he got the demon blood vulture to turn around and leave. Sitting on the demon blood vulture, Qin Zhuolin's flustered expression calmed significantly. Qin Zhuolin wiped away the dirt on his face. Under the dirty dirt, his facial features appeared upright, giving him a forthright air. However, his complexion appeared somewhat pale. He could compare to the white marsh beast empire cultivators that Xiao Chun had seen before. Qin Zhuolin smiled generously and said, "Many thanks, brother, for saving my life. If there is anything you need in the future, just give me a call. I will be at your beck and call in the desolate sea." "You are too polite. What is the background of the desolate slave chasing you?" When Qin Zhuolin heard that, he felt slightly startled. After a while, he smiled and said, "It looks like this is not your first time coming to the desolate sea. Furthermore, you did not come on purpose, but were forced to." Chapter 2030. Xiao Chun was not surprised. With just a little deduction, he could tell that this was his first time here. Qin Zhuolin paused for a moment before explaining to Xiao Chun, "Desolate slaves are not strange things. They're just the unclean things in the ground. In other places, they're called zombies. The cultivators of the desolate sea are used to calling them desolate slaves. They are much more horrifying than regular zombies. Lightning had a strong suppressive effect on unclean things like zombies. However, the Thunder Monarch spear could not completely kill zombies. They could no longer be described as simply horrifying. Calling them zombies was no longer appropriate. It was hard to imagine how this Qin Zhuolin managed to escape from a group of desolate slaves. Based on Qin Zhuolin's cultivation, he was only an initial perfection sovereign personage, not even at small perfection. He was far from great perfection. Sovereign personages had a total of 4 grades: initial perfection, small perfection, great perfection, and consummation. With every 10%, the difference in strength would be significant. Right now, Xiao Chun no longer feared an initial perfection sovereign personage. If he grasped the timing well, he could even severely injure or even kill the other party. However, he still had to be careful when running into a small perfection sovereign personage. This Qin Zhuolin before Xiao Chun definitely had something extraordinary about him. Otherwise, he would not have been able to escape from a group of desolate slaves. To think that you dare to appear in the wilderness under the blood moon. I guess that you have not found a city yet. Qin Zhuolin smiled faintly. Xiao Chun guessed correctly. Then he added, "The nearest city is to the southeast. You will reach it after about 15 million kilometers." When Xiao Chun heard that, he felt flabbergasted. This desolate sea was really remote. If Xiao Chun were unlucky, he might not even find a city after 10 days or half a month. 15 million kilometers was said to be very far. However, in the vast desolate sea, it was not even the tip of an iceberg. Even if the eastern and northern regions were added together, the desolate sea would not be as large as the desolate sea. To cultivators, 15 million kilometers was a relatively long distance. If one did not travel at full speed, one would need 2 days. When we get there, we should buy a map of the desolate sea. Although it is not complete, we will not get lost. Qin Zhuolin suggested considerately, appearing very experienced. This person was also very mysterious. Xiao Chun never had the habit of speaking out of turn. Naturally, he would not ask why this person was being chased by a group of desolate slaves. After chatting for a while, Qin Zhuolin smiled mysteriously and said, "Come, I'll treat you to some wine." It wasn't easy for me to get my hands on this wine, but I haven't had the chance to drink it yet. Qin Zhuolin felt grateful to Xiao Chun for saving his life. The best wine in the world? Xiao Chun, who had drunk the 1,000-year flame before, did not believe it. He showed a suspicious expression. Qin Zhuolin took out an ancient metal wine flask. The wine flask was azure and had some dust on it. After wiping away the dust, a complex and exquisite appearance was revealed. There was a curved dragon-shaped handle, and the body of the bottle was embroidered with a dragon pattern. A long, thin chain was attached to the handle to prevent it from being lost. In the blink of an eye, it looked like a blue dragon sealed in chains, raising its head and roaring angrily, wanting to soar into the sky. This has a blue dragon drawn on it. Xiao Chan exclaimed hoarsely, truly startled. He could not hide the shock in his eyes. So this is a blue dragon. You dragon race people are really more knowledgeable. However, what kind of dragon is a blue dragon? Qin Zhuolin looked at Xiao Chen curiously. Xiao Chan recovered his wits and said, I'm not sure. I only caught a glimpse of it in ancient texts and did not understand in detail. Qin Zhuolin did not mind. He handed the flask to Xiao Chun and said, there's no need to care what dragon it is. Try drinking it. After receiving the blue dragon wine flask, Xiao Chun took out a wine cup and filled it up. Then he took a sip. Not bad. Then he drank it all in one gulp. Immediately, an extremely cold sensation invaded every cell in Xiao Chen's body. In the next moment, he felt extremely carefree. His entire body, including his soul, could not help trembling. The fiery feeling turned into a warm current flowing through his body. Xiao Chun felt dizzy. After drinking one cup, he actually felt drunk. What was even more exaggerated was that after drinking this cup of wine, Xiao Chun felt his cultivation improve significantly in an instant. This was equivalent to half a year of bitter cultivation. Xiao Chun was truly shocked. After a long time, he slowly recovered his wits. However, the blush on his face did not fade. The aftereffects were hard to get rid of. Xiao Chen's entire body felt like it was on fire. His internal organs and even his soul felt like it was burning. How is it? This wine is pretty good, right? Xiao Chen took a deep breath and stabilized his somewhat shaky mind. Then he asked, how old is this wine? Not long. I estimate it to be at least 5,000 years old. Congratulations, Brother Xiao. This bottle contains the already lost exceptional wine, Heartburn. It is the legendary strongest wine of the dragon race. Rumor has it that a powerhouse was willing to pay a jade mine for this cup of wine. That news shook the world. Heartburn indeed felt like the heart was on fire. The aftereffects were great, leaving one with a rich aftertaste. Amid the heat was an indescribable carefree feeling, boundlessly delightful. Great wine. However, Qin Zhuolin did not even tell me about this 5,000-year-old wine. This Qin Zhuolin is really bad. Seeing something amiss with Xiao Chen's expression, Qin Zhuolin quickly smiled and said, Haha, don't be angry. I'll give you this wine and the wine cup. This wine cup is also a wondrous item. As long as you drip a drop of wine on it, it will fill up the entire flask in an instant. Also, I'll give you the recipe for heartburn as well. I have no use for it anyway. Qin Zhuolin's repeated generous gifts did not make Xiao Chen angry. He really liked this wine flask. In addition to the brewing recipe of heartburn, the amount spent was really quite large. Logically speaking, it would be very difficult for Xiao Chen to accept such a big gift. There was no such thing as an undeserved reward. Although Xiao Chen had saved the other party's life, it was just a slight effort. Compared to this generous gift, it was truly insignificant. Qin Zhuolin smiled straightforwardly and said, To you, this is an insignificant gesture, but you saved my life. Furthermore, I have no use for this, so it is not much. Many thanks. Xiao Chen did not stand on ceremony, accepting the blue dragon wine flask and the recipe for heartburn. The appearance of the blue dragon wine flask piqued Xiao Chen's curiosity. Where did you get this? Qin Zhuolin smiled mysteriously, but did not answer. Oh no! Just at this moment, the two's expressions changed. Xiao Chen turned his head to look. In the sky, a huge figure appeared under the huge blood moon that seemed as if it could be reached out to touch. This figure wore heavy armor, and a pair of scarlet eyes flickered under the helmet. Death chi spread all around him. There was a rusty chain in his hand, and there was an iron hook that was as sharp as a knife tied to it. As the man waved the chain, the iron hook and the iron chain spun like the wind. The huge figure hovered in the air, covering most of the blood moon. Even from a great distance, the two could feel the cold wind blowing at them. That pair of intimidating eyes made one tremble with just one look. Xiao Chen instantly sobered up, feeling wary and fearful. Xiao Chen's legs went soft, and he could not control his limbs. How horrifying was the strength of this desolate slave that targeted the two? Xiao Chen did not dare to imagine. He felt that the other party only needed one strike to crush him to dust, killing him. He felt incredibly insignificant before it. Damn it, it still caught up. Run. Qin Zhuolin pushed Xiao Chun and quickly jumped off the demon blood vulture. Then, he turned into a beam of light and fled. Xiao Chun startled awake. He turned the demon blood vulture back into a ring and wore it on his finger. Then he shot off like lightning. Right after the two left, the iron hook traveled more than 500,000 kilometers and landed where the two had been. With a swoosh, the iron hook sank into the ground. Bang! Before Xiao Chun could react, he was horrified to discover that the ground stood up like a wall and crashed into him. Xiao Chun immediately vomited a mouthful of blood. His internal organs shattered, and the ground exploded, turning into countless huge rocks. This desolate slave, in tattered heavy armor, actually managed to pull up the ground. From a distance, it looked like it had pulled out a square lattice from the ground. However, in reality, this square lattice was already as large as the Heaven Dragon City. Just the impact of the ground instantly severely injured Xiao Chun. After all, he had an acquired divine body and was severely injured. One could easily imagine how horrifying the impact was. Xiao Chun and Qin Zhuolin could not help themselves as they got knocked back. The heavy-armored desolate slave ignored Xiao Chun. It fixed its gaze on Qin Zhuolin, who got knocked back. The heavy-armored desolate slave spread out its hand, and space seemed to shrink in front of it. The distance between it and Qin Zhuolin shrank. Qin Zhuolin looked as insignificant as an ant before that palm, powerless to struggle. After being captured, he would not be able to escape death. The scene before Xiao Chun was somewhat similar to Xiao Chen's Firmament's Rage. Without much thought, Xiao Chun activated his great desolate Ian bloodline and used the 5-element divine lightning to drive Firmament's Rage. Then he threw a palm strike. Something strange happened. The gigantic hand, which was much larger than Qin Zhuolin, was about the same size as the one Xiao Chun used to execute Firmament's Rage, only slightly larger. Just as the heavy-armored desolate slave was about to grab Qin Zhuolin, Xiao Chun threw a palm strike first. Bang! The two palms clashed, and Xiao Chun got knocked back like a sandbag. Space turned chaotic, nearly tearing Xiao Chen's physical body to shreds. Qin Zhuolin took the opportunity to escape. When he saw this scene, he felt greatly startled. Unexpectedly, he managed to escape from a sure-death situation. Seeing the heavy-armored desolate slave focus on Xiao Chun, Qin Zhuolin immediately panicked. He crossed his hands and formed hand seals. Qin Zhuolin's eyes turned pitch black, looking boundlessly deep like a bottomless pit. It was so deep that it made one's heart tremble. 9 heavens god sealing formation rise. After Qin Zhuolin formed the hand seals, he shouted, and light shone behind him. Thousands of formation flags soared into the sky like a boundless rain of arrows. In the next moment, thousands of formation flags layered over each other. Spiritual light danced in the night sky, forming an incredibly complicated formation that turned into 9 layers of heavenly curtains. The 9 layers of heavenly curtains smashed down on the heavy-armored desolate slave, preventing it from killing Xiao Chun. However, before the 9 layers of heavenly curtains could finish smashing down, the heavy-armored desolate slave tossed out a metal hook. The heavenly curtains broke layer by layer, turning into starlight that filled the sky. When the formation broke, Qin Zhuolin vomited a mouthful of blood and got knocked back. The legend is true. Qin Zhuolin turned ashen, feeling some despair. Just at this moment, the first ray of light from the east appeared in the distant horizon. Dawn is approaching. Qin Zhuolin felt stunned. Then he rejoiced. I'm saved. The heavy-armored desolate slave could not be bothered with the two. It stretched out its hand to cover its eyes and quickly fled far away. It quickly withdrew its overwhelming death chi. Chapter 2031. With the appearance of dawn, the blood moon receded. In the desolate sea, the sinister, cold, and strange atmosphere vanished. That heavily armored, desolate slave also felt some fear. After the first ray of light shone on its body, it quickly withdrew its death chi and fled far away. By the time the sun rose, this terrifying, desolate slave was nowhere to be seen. The desolate sea fell into another extreme. Xiao Chun and Qin Zhuolin stood side by side as they looked at the morning sun. After surviving a calamity, the two felt somewhat rueful as they looked at the rising sun. No one expected to be able to escape from such a horrifying, desolate slave. This was the first time in their lives that they found the morning sun so familiar. Xiao Qin asked, "What is the origin of that desolate slave?" "It came for you, right?" "That is Soul Reaper. Because it resembles the Soul Reaper from the Immortal epic, the people of the desolate sea call it Soul Reaper. It is one of the 10 great desolate slaves of the desolate sea. According to legend, everyone who saw it died, but the two of us survived." Qin Zhuolin appeared to be in a good mood. Under the morning sun, he relaxed. As Qin Zhuolin looked at Xiao Chun, his initial indifference turned into admiration. He had not expected Xiao Chun to be able to save him from Soul Reaper with one palm strike. "You should not be a nameless person. How come I have never heard of a dragon race cultivator who can reach the 3rd layer of Firmament's Rage?" Even now, Qin Zhuolin still felt somewhat shocked at the crucial palm strike that saved him. It was not only the might of the 3rd layer of Firmament's Rage that shocked him, but also Xiao Chen's courage. How many people could have the courage and boldness to attack Soul Reaper? Not only did Xiao Chun not flee, but he even turned around and made a move, saving Qin Zhuolin. This was much more valuable than the first time Qin Zhuolin saved him. The first time, he was only caught by a desolate slave. "I believe that your name will shake the desolate sea soon, becoming a dragon race outstanding talent no weaker than the Dragon God Crown Prince or the White Dragon Holy Daughter." Qin Zhuolin thought highly of Xiao Chen's potential, not holding back on his praise. Xiao Chen smiled, but did not say anything. The person in front of Xiao Chun was even more mysterious than Xiao Chun had imagined. Xiao Chen originally thought that the desolate slaves had injured him. Now, it looked like the one who severely injured him was Soul Reaper. Then, a group of low-ranked desolate slaves chased after him. To be able to come out unscathed after receiving a blow from a Hellguard, it was clear that this person was no simple character. "You must be a geomaster, right?" Xiao Chen shook the blue dragon wine pot in his hand and said thoughtfully, 5,000 years of fine wine. I wonder which tomb it was taken from." Qin Zhuolin smiled and said, "Who knows? Goodbye. We'll meet again someday." This answer was a tacit admission. "See you later." For some reason, Xiao Chun felt that he would meet this Qin Zhuolin again in the future. At that time, the mysterious identity of that person would be revealed. After coming to the desolate sea, he first ran into the heavenly fragrances fairy maiden. Then, he ran into this Qin Zhuolin. This was rather interesting. After watching the other party leave, Xiao Chun set off again according to Qin Zhuolin's instructions. He needed to find a city and obtain a map of the desolate sea. On the demon blood vulture's back, Xiao Chun closed his eyes and treated his injuries. At the same time, he used the secret technique that the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor left behind. Xiao Chun had to remove the 1,000 taste red from his soul. His injuries were rather problematic. Fortunately, there were no major problems and no fatal danger. When the sun set, the silhouette of a city appeared in Xiao Chen's vision. The huge setting sun in the skyline slowly sank. Every time one saw such a huge setting sun in the desolate sea, they would feel incredibly shocked. The setting sun looked like fire, dyeing the horizon red and forming unending volcanic clouds. Together with the darkening sky, the setting sun looked somewhat ancient. Clatter, clatter. Cultivators from various places could be seen on the ground, riding huge mutated beasts. These cultivators kicked up a cloud of dust and rushed to the city. Only in the city could one find a sense of security in the desolate sea's night. However, many cultivators stood on the city walls, wearing all sorts of clothes. Their expressions were cold as they occasionally leaped down, going in the opposite direction. These people moved out of the city in groups of 3 to 5, looking exceptionally eye-catching. These people all gave off faint demonic chi. They were all demonic Tao cultivators. The Desolate Seas night was especially suitable for these demonic Tao cultivators. They could bring out their full combat prowess. If these demonic Tao cultivators were lucky, they could find strong souls or capture desolate slaves and refine them into corpses, which would be a pretty good harvest. Of course, there were also some righteous Tao cultivators among them. They were all skilled and bold people. There would always be such adventurers everywhere, daring to challenge themselves. Perhaps they were here for experiential training or to seek out fortuitous encounters. The Desolate Sea seemed to be much more exciting than what Xiao Chan first saw. However, at this moment, no matter what others thought, he only wanted to enter the city quietly and rest well after experiencing the excitement of the previous night. Ping City, as its name suggested, it was just an ordinary city. It was far from being as majestic and glorious as the Dragon City. However, this small city bustled with people and was brightly lit. The density of people and the bustle of the night made it even livelier than Heaven Dragon City. This made sense. There might not even be a city within 50 million kilometers. With such a small population, there had to be a lot of people. Xiao Chan was not in a rush to buy a map. After choosing an inn to stay in, he started to treat his injuries. Be it the fight with Bai Yunfei or the previous night's fight with Soul Reaper, he needed to recover properly. Xiao Chen stayed in the inn for 7 days before coming out. His injuries had all healed, and he returned to his peak state. He even felt like he was going to improve further. 1 cup of heartburn allowed Xiao Chen's cultivation to improve significantly, completely stabilizing his cultivation as a late-stage Holy Venerate. Xiao Chen estimated that when he finished this bottle, no matter how many resources his divine body required, he would be able to reach peak Holy Venerate. His cultivation would also reach peak consummation Holy Venerate. As Xiao Chen wandered around the city, preparing to buy a map, he stopped in front of a magnificent building with a 4-legged cauldron in front of it. The 9 Cauldron Pavilion. No matter where Xiao Chen went, he would run into such shops. The 9 Cauldron Pavilion before him seemed to be of a higher standard than the ones he had seen before. Learning from his previous experience, Xiao Chen took out the VIP medallion that Li Xiuhai gave him and asked, "What is this medallion? Can I meet the manager of this pavilion with this medallion?" "You can. Young master has the 9 Cauldron Pavilion's gold VIP medallion. Please come with me. I'll go and inform him first." Soon, a maidservant led Xiao Chen to the VIP room of this pavilion. After meeting the manager, the matter of buying a map went much smoother. Furthermore, the map that Xiao Chen obtained was not a detailed one that ordinary people could easily obtain. The identity of a VIP helped him a lot. All that remained was to compare the map with the one in the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories. Then, he would compare the current map with the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories and find the old lands of the Blue Dragon. This was not a good task. The blood-soaked Dragon Emperor had been alive for 100,000 years already. 100,000 years ago, there was no such thing as the Desolate Sea. Xiao Chen needed to walk around, continuously observing and comparing. There were many difficult problems to solve. The sea had changed into mulberry fields. 100,000 years had changed the landscape greatly, something that could not be explained in a few words. However, no matter how difficult it was, Xiao Chen had to do it. As the last Blue Dragon descendant, Xiao Chen was duty-bound to search for the map. 2 months later, on a mountain peak, Xiao Chen opened his heavenly eye and looked into the distance. Then, he muttered to himself, "Is this the place?" In the past 2 months, Xiao Chen had traveled a lot and encountered many troublesome matters. Finally, he determined the general area. However, he did not dare to guarantee it. Before Xiao Chen was a barren land of death covered in sand. The blazing sun shone down. Even a cultivator like Xiao Chen found this somewhat unbearable, unable to endure this harsh sunlight. "This is too barren." Xiao Chen closed his heavenly eye. showing a suspicious expression. This large region was too barren. It would not be an exaggeration to call it a land of death. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Suddenly, the sound of rocks tumbling came from the cliffs. Xiao Chun looked in the direction of the sound. He saw a child carrying a medicinal herb on a cliff, climbing under the blazing sun. This was a native of the desolate sea, born and raised here. Hence, he was more accustomed to the environment here than outsiders. Over the past 2 months, Xiao Chun had seen many natives. Compared to the ordinary people of other places, they were much stronger. Compared to the ordinary people of other places, the ordinary people of the desolate sea had it much harder. The lack of water, the harsh environment, and the dangers at night were all tests of life and death. The child nimbly dodged the rocks and stopped. Then he revealed joy on his face. The child found a medicinal herb between the cliffs. The harsher the environment, the more valuable the medicinal herb that grew. In this place where vegetation was sparse, one could easily imagine the value of medicinal herbs. Xiao Chun frowned slightly. Suddenly, he flicked his finger, and a strand of saber chi chopped a venomous snake hidden in the cliffs, about to attack. Whoosh! Xiao Chun leaped into the air and landed firmly, sending the startled child to the ground. Thank you, big brother. Big brother, are you a cultivator? The little girl did not panic. Clearly, she had seen many strong cultivators in the desolate sea. She blinked and asked curiously. The child's voice was clear and melodious. Xiao Chun had not noticed that the child was actually a girl. You are too polite. Xiao Chun looked at the little girl. Her hands and feet were bruised. He could not bear to see her like this. Where's your home? I'll send you there. Who knew? Right after Xiao Chun said that, the little girl started crying. Little Ching Chun was chased out. Little Ching Chun no longer has a home. Big brother, if you want to help me, send this herb back. My little brother needs it. Chapter 2032. So, this girl is called Ching Chun. Why was she chased out? After being chased out, she still has to risk her life to pick herbs. How was this girl going to live in the future? Based on the girl's appearance, she should not be more than 10 years old, and her body was covered in dust. Xiao Chun felt somewhat sad. It was really difficult for ordinary people to live in the desolate sea. Don't cry. I promise you that I will bring this herb back. However, tell me, why were you chased out? Who chased you out? Where are your parents? Xiao Chun's string of questions confused the girl. The girl looked at Xiao Chun with watery eyes as she stammered, not knowing which to answer first. Xiao Chun knew that the girl was too anxious. He sighed and asked in a warmer tone, Where are your parents? Ching Chun does not have parents. They died when she was very young. This pitiful child turned out to be an orphan. Xiao Chun continued asking, Who chased you out? Grandpa Village Chief. Grandpa Village Chief told little Ching Chun to go as far away as possible. Sob, sob, sob. However, little brother is sick. If I do not bring the herbs back to the spirit jades, what will happen to little brother? Sob, 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 sob. The girl seemed to have suffered a great grievance. Worried about her little brother's illness, she cried even harder. Xiao Chun did not continue asking. He waited for the girl to calm down before asking, Where is your village? Over there. The girl pointed in a direction. Xiao Chun sent his spiritual sense into his eyes and looked into the distance. There was indeed a village more than 50 kilometers away. Xiao Chun picked up the girl and carried her on his way. Big brother, I cannot go back. Grandpa Village Chief will be angry. The girl said somewhat fearfully, Big brother, just bring the herbs I picked back. Little Ching Chun cannot go back. As Xiao Chun looked at the setting sun in the distance, he said softly, The sky is turning dark. Where can you go? To Xiao Chun, 50 kilometers would not take long. Along the way, Xiao Chun ran into a group of bandits riding mutated beasts. Bandits were like sand in the desolate sea, everywhere. In a land of bloodshed, it was difficult for morality to exist. Chaos and slaughter coexisted. Xiao Chun didn't speak to the other party. He didn't even give the other party a chance to speak. Xiao Chun covered Ching Chen's eyes with his left hand and punched with his right. The 100 bandits in front of them, along with the strange beasts they rode, all turned into a bloody mist. After Ching Chun let go, she blinked. Why did that group of bad people suddenly disappear? Looking at his surroundings, he felt more and more familiar with them. Ching Chun felt both anticipation and fear. She did not dare to say anything in Xiao Chen's embrace. When it was getting dark, Xiao Chun arrived at the village. There were about 100 households in the village. The village was surrounded by a simple fence made of lightning-subduing wood, which was used to prevent dirty things from entering at night. The lightning-falling wood was a kind of wood in the desolate sea that had a suppressive effect on filthy things. Villages and other gathering places mostly had this kind of wood, forming a fence, making it look like a stockade. At this moment, the sky was getting dark. Many villagers were reinforcing the fence. When they saw Xiao Chun and the girl in his arms, they immediately panicked. "Quickly, tell the village chief that Ching Chun is back. Quick, quick, quick." These villagers stopped what they were doing and ran back in a fluster. This surprised Xiao Chun somewhat. When Ching Chun, who was put down, saw this scene, she felt sad and could not help crying again. Soon, the villagers escorted a skinny, hemp-robed old man over. The old man looked at Ching Chun, then at Xiao Chun. Then he sighed and said, "Bring her back. This young hero, it is getting dark. Come in and talk." This old man's cultivation was not high. However, the people who live in the desolate sea were much stronger than the ordinary people outside. If one could not adapt to this harsh environment, one would not be able to survive. Hence, while this old man looked old, he was spirited. Seeing that this old man did not seem like a bad person, Xiao Chun said softly, "Village chief, these are herbs that little Ching Chun picked outside. She wants to give them to her younger brother." Ching Chen's eyes brimmed with tears as she carried the herbs over. She sobbed and said, "Grandpa Village Chief, little Ching Chun will not be going in. Grandpa Village Chief will help me sell these herbs. Take care of my younger brother. He is sick. I'm afraid that no one will take care of him." The old village chief let out a long sigh. A trace of sorrow flashed in his ancient eyes, and tears flickered in them. "Come in. It is getting dark. If there is anything, we can talk about it tomorrow. You should go and see your younger brother. Everyone has been taking care of him." "Really?" Ching Chen blinked but still did not dare to go in. Xiao Chen did not say anything. He picked her up and directly entered the village chief's residence. As the sky turned dark, the villagers quickly closed the village's wooden gates and scattered a layer of black dust along the way. After Xiao Chun sent Ching Chun to her house, Ching Chen could not help but bow to him. "Thank you, big brother. I'm going to see my younger brother." As for the wooden house, Xiao Chun did not enter. The old village chief sighed and led Xiao Chun to the side. "How should I address this old man?" The village chief said, "I am old and the seventh child. Everyone in the village calls me Grandpa Seven. In that case, I'll call you Grandpa Seven." The village chief quickly said, "You can't do that. You can't do that. With one look, I can tell that little brother is not an ordinary person. You have delicate features and delicate bones. How can you address me, an old man, as Grandpa Seven? It's fine. Let's go somewhere else to talk." Grandpa Seven led Xiao Chun to his house. There were other people in the house. When they heard that Grandpa Seven had an honored guest, they quickly took out wine and started to serve him. Unexpectedly, the wine poured out of the crude bee-skin wine pouch was unexpectedly delicious. Xiao Chun drained it in one gulp. Then he exclaimed in shock, "Great wine. Grandpa Seven brewed this yourself?" Grandpa Seven revealed a smile on his wrinkled face. "Yes, a little craftsmanship passed down from my ancestors." An honest-looking youth at the side said, "How is it a little craftsmanship? The wine that our Grandpa Seven brewed is the best in the surrounding 5,000 kilometers. The wine that our ancestors brewed has even appeared in Desolate City's Heavenly Fragrance Banquet." Desolate City. The largest city in the Desolate Sea could be considered a holy city. This city was very ancient, even older than some of the dragon cities in the Divine Dragon Empire. This city gathered the factions of the world, a dazzling pearl in the Desolate Sea. As for the Heavenly Fragrance Banquet, it was even more incredible. The Heavenly Fragrance Holy Land would hold a banquet every 100 years, inviting everyone. It was a rare event in the world that could attract all the factions. Grandpa Seven sighed. This is all in the past. The world is too chaotic now, and ingredients are hard to find. The skill of brewing wine was mostly lost in my generation. What is the point of knowing how to brew wine in this day and age? Grandpa Seven's words were filled with emotion. His tone was filled with sorrow. Xiao Chun changed the topic. Grandpa Seven, why did you chase little Ching Chen out? I can tell that you're not a ruthless person. Is there a reason for this? The great rock soars with the wind and soars 45,000 kilometers. Little brother, your aura is extraordinary. Sooner or later, you will soar into the sky. Our small village is not even a drop of water in the great rock's eyes. Little brother, why do you have to worry about such things? The old man could tell that Xiao Chun was not an ordinary cultivator, so he said that Xiao Chun had a great future ahead of him. The small matters of the village were nothing compared to his world, so he told Xiao Chun to ignore them. The great rock would not pay attention to you, who leaped up with the waves as it soared. When it soared, it would cross 5,000 kilometers in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye, it would become nothing. It could only fly higher and further by looking forward. Grandpa Seven's words were a tactful rejection and also out of politeness. There was also some pride, not wanting to ask a stranger for help. He could clearly see that Xiao Chun and Xiao Chun were people of two different worlds. Grandpa Seven, you can't say things like that. Xiao Chun found this somewhat strange. He put down his wine cup and wanted to say something. However, Grandpa Seven interrupted him. In the desolate sea, there's always blood and death every day. Even the sages cannot deal with this. Little brother, you really don't have to worry. Everyone has their own fate in this world. You should rest well here tonight. When Xiao Chun saw the situation, he felt helpless. He knew that this matter could not be rushed. The night passed quietly. When the sun rose, Xiao Chun walked out of his house and saw the villagers gathered together, worshipping a lone peak in the distance. The lone peak was a verdant mountain. However, there was no vegetation on it, looking like it was made of divine metal. Xiao Chun looked at it and frowned heavily. He could not help feeling suspicious. This green mountain had an extraordinary aura. When it rose from the ground, it gave off a sharp aura that soared into the sky. However, when it reached the summit, this aura stopped. There was a flat platform at the summit. It looked neat and smooth, like someone had chopped it off. After these people finished worshipping, Xiao Chun went to find the honest-looking youth in Grandpa Seven's house yesterday and asked about it. When the honest-looking youth heard this question, he scratched his head and said, I don't know either. What's strange about this place? I heard that every morning they worship this green mountain. This is a rule passed down by our ancestors. I don't know what they worship either. However, after worshiping it, I do feel somewhat at ease. It's strange. Has no one got to take a look? That place is not clean. Even if it's daytime, it is still very gloomy. After getting within 10 kilometers, no one dares to go over. Grandpa Seven also warned us not to go over. Xiao Chun could not help feeling even more suspicious. Suddenly, the honest-looking youth leaned over and whispered, I once heard from the elders in the village that this mountain originally had a dragon head. It has always been a dragon head mountain. Later, the dragon head broke, and it became unclean. Chapter 2033. Grandpa Seven, the village chief, smoked his pipe as he watched Xiao Chun go in and out every day. He showed a complicated expression, but he did not say anything. When Xiao Chun saw that Grandpa Seven had some difficulty squeezing through the crowd, his face filled with excitement. Xiao Chun could not reject Grandpa Seven's kind intentions, so he dismounted and bent his back to let Ching Chun put on a garland of flowers for him. Xiao Chun felt slightly startled. He had seen many bandits recently, but Iron Egg had never shown such shock on his face. When Xiao Chun opened his palm, boundless electric light and saber chi burst out, and blood blossomed in the air. Iron Egg said anxiously, Scram, who said that I, Iron Egg, am not good-looking? I've been walking around the village with Big Brother Xiao for the past few days. Many ladies like me. The ordinary people who lived in the desolate sea always lacked food and water. The old people told him everything they knew, saying that this was how their ancestors passed it down. No one had seen it for themselves. Normally, before the other party could say anything, they would kill them in an instant. You speak a lot of nonsense. Ta, ta, ta. Iron Egg, you told me earlier that there was a dragon head on the Azure Mountain. Which old person in the village said that? Xiao Chun had not experienced life for a long time already. After spending a few days together, he felt rueful. After dealing with the corpses, Xiao Chun turned his head to look at the Azure Mountain. Then, he returned to the village with Iron Egg. Good. After searching for many days, Xiao Chun obtained some useful information. As Grandpa 7 smoked his pipe, he led Xiao Chun to his house. Iron Egg, you are not embarrassed. With your dark and swarthy face, you will not look good even if you wear it, someone mocked. Everyone guffawed. Blood flowed endlessly, and Iron Egg died on the spot, falling off the horse. Xiao Chun put down his wine cup and nodded. Right. I want to know where the dragon head went. Big brother, wear a garland of flowers and look good. When Qing Chun saw the garland she weaved on Xiao Chun's head, she felt overjoyed. Iron Egg rubbed his head and smiled. Little Qing Chun, why don't you make one for your big brother Iron Egg as well? However, the Azure Mountain, which had soared with an imposing aura, suddenly stopped, made Iron Egg enter deep thought. They would bring large prey back to the village. Xiao Chun said with a smile, Why are you apologizing? You didn't do anything wrong. If you have time, come with me to the other villages. I still want to ask around. Let's go back first. I don't have a name. Everyone in the village calls me Tai Dan. The honest-looking young man said shyly. Keep bragging. At this moment, the honest-looking young man said that there used to be a dragon head on the Green Mountain. To think that he was actually a holy venerate like Xiao Chun. However, when asked why they worshipped Qing Shan, no one could give them an answer. Leave it to me. Bruiser felt a little embarrassed that he hadn't found anything. Yes, I know. Brother Xiao Chun, can you teach me martial arts? I want to be like you. Tai Dan said with some longing. It's only been a few days, but he's already helped me gather enough food for several years. I don't have to risk my life hunting anymore. With so many legends put together, it could basically be confirmed. Don't tell anyone about what happened today. Big brother, here you go. Xiao Chun did not say much. Tai Dan was just an early-stage holy venerate. Xiao Chun grabbed with his palm. He could not be bothered to waste time with Tai Dan, so he executed Firmament's Rage. Tai Dan was not very knowledgeable and did not understand the difference in strength between cultivators, which was why he was so shocked. All the villages within 5,000 kilometers did indeed have a tradition of worshipping Qing Shan. Qing Shan was the dragon head. Many villages had similar legends. The black-cloaked man glanced at Xiao Chun and sensed that the other party's cultivation was higher than his. There had indeed been a dragon head on the Green Mountain. However, it was already so long ago that it could not be considered. While laughing, Xiao Chun discovered Grandpa 7 in the distance, smoking a pipe and looking at him. But for the mortals of the mortal world, surviving was what they had to face and think about at every moment. Right now, Xiao Chun's combat prowess rivaled that of an initial perfection sovereign personage. Squashing a holy venerate to death would be as easy as squashing an ant. After looking carefully for a while, Xiao Chun discovered that the leader actually cultivated a demonic Dao cultivation technique and possessed a significant cultivation. There was a dragon head on the Green Mountain. Tai Dan still did not dare to believe that Xiao Chun could kill the demonic Dao envoy with one palm strike. After arriving at the village, Xiao Chun took out a huge, ferocious beast from his storage ring. All the households rejoiced. They had been waiting for a long time to cut up the ferocious beast meat. In the following days, many old people have said this before. What's wrong? Big brother Xiao, you don't really believe that there's a dragon head on Azure Peak, right? Iron Egg was astonished that Xiao Chun actually believed the nonsense he spouted. The two did not return empty-handed this time. The group of bandits before them seemed somewhat different. When Xiao Chun looked over, he discovered that the leaders seemed somewhat strange. Xiao Chun and Tai Dan traveled everywhere. They went out during the day and returned at night. They never returned empty-handed. How dare you attack my people? You are seeking death. Tai Dan's attire made him look very valiant. Xiao Chun borrowed a horse from the village, and the two went out together. Right after Xiao Chun spoke, a strand of saber chi pierced through the foreheads of the surrounding bandits. Qing Chun struggled out of the crowd with some difficulty. Then, she ran over excitedly, holding up a garland she made from tree branches and wildflowers. Young hero Xiao is really our village's lucky star. Xiao Chun never had a good impression of bandits. Their bodies contained spiritual energy. When ordinary people consumed them, they would strengthen their physique, tendons, and bones. They were great supplements. Whoosh! When Xiao Chun heard that, he felt startled. He looked at the distant azure mountain and remained silent. To cultivators, this piece of land was filled with fortuitous encounters. Naturally, Xiao Chun was not satisfied with such an answer. How could words be trusted without any proof? However, Tai Dan's words made Xiao Chun somewhat wary. Xiao Chun instantly grabbed Tai Dan, not giving Tai Dan a chance to flee. That was why there were no clear words or words passed down. Xiao Chun said softly, "It's hard to say for sure. There's always some basis to legends. Do me a favor and bring me to meet the elders in the village." To think that a bona fide holy venerate would team up with a group of bandits. This was truly shocking. Xiao Chun needed to make time to go to the Azure Mountain and take a look. Just at this moment, the urgent sound of horse hooves rang out. It was a group of ostentatious bandits. The leader wore a black cloak and a conical bamboo hat, covering himself well. This ferocious beast meat was very different from the wild beasts they normally hunted. A thought occurred to Xiao Chun. After some thought, he asked, "What is your name?" This was rather rare. The bandits that Xiao Chun normally met only knew some mediocre martial arts. Those who were slightly strong would not go to the extent of becoming bandits. There were too many ways to survive. "Big brother Xiao, it looks like I can't help you." On hearing that Xiao Chun was willing to help him hunt, Tai Dan felt incredibly excited. Soon, he appeared on a handsome horse with a bow on his back and a large saber at his waist. Dragon Head Mountain. A bandit pointed at Xiao Chun as he held the reins of his horse. "Huh, it's just a small matter. Everyone is dying to talk to someone like Big Brother Xiao. Come, I'll lead you there." A look of terror appeared in Bruiser's eyes, and he clenched his right fist in fury. He said coldly, "Friend, you just arrived at the desolate sea. Don't you know the rules? If you know what's good for you, get lost. Don't provoke people you shouldn't provoke." Xiao Chun and Iron Egg rode ferocious horses and stopped at a riverside, looking up at the green mountains. From afar, it approached the two of them. After they sat down and drank a cup of wine, Grandpa Seven said, "Little brother, have you been asking about Dragon Head Qing Shan recently? Big brother Xiao, you killed the demon envoy." As for worshipping the Green Mountain, it was already a tradition. All the villages in this area had this tradition. He planned to stay here for a while before continuing his search. It looked like these bandits were backed by a demonic Dao faction. They were not as simple as they seemed. The people in the village were all overjoyed. They did not expect to see a martial artist. He actually stayed in the village and even helped them hunt. Demon envoy? It was just something passed down by word of mouth, passed down from generation to generation. This startled the black-clad man. He had not expected Xiao Chun to attack at the drop of a hat, instantly killing the group of bandits by his side. That's the black-clad man from earlier. All the bandits in the vicinity are under the control of the demon envoys. They're like demons. No one dares to disobey their orders. They are simply demonic gods. The horse that Xiao Chun sat on felt the black-clad man's emotions and started neighing somewhat restlessly. Bruiser was so shocked that he even stuttered. Under Bruiser's lead, Xiao Chun asked several elders in the village about the dragon head on the Green Mountain. "Sure, but I have to go out to hunt. I have not hunted for half a month already." Xiao Chun had long noticed that Grandpa Seven wanted to say something. After saying that to Bruiser, he walked over. "My lord, it's him. Recently, he killed many of our brothers, never leaving anyone alive. We spent a lot of effort to find him." Xiao Chun had found this place based on the maps of the Modern Realm and the Modern Realm. Originally, he had some doubts and did not dare to be sure. Chapter 2034. I would like to know where the dragon head went. Grandpa Seven tapped the table with his pipe. Wrinkles filled his aged face as he sighed. How many years has it been? There have been people coming to look for the dragon head, but no one has found it. People thought that it was just a legend long ago. Little brother, don't take it too seriously and delay your proper business. A thought occurred to Xiao Chun. Others have come to look for it. There were many in the past, but there are fewer now. When I was young, I saw my grandfather entertain one person. Since then, no one has come. Before that, people came intermittently, but they all returned disappointed. There is nothing to look for. Grandpa Seven puffed out a mouthful of smoke as he looked at Xiao Chun through the smoke. From what I remember, that person's aura is somewhat similar to little brother's. Somewhat similar? Xiao Chun casually waved his hand and used his veritable essence energy to draw a portrait in the air. When Grandpa Seven saw the portrait, he exclaimed in shock, "That's him. Little brother. You know him? I remember that back then. He came alone as well. He was as kind as little brother. I wonder how he is now." The person in the portrait was the previous generation Heaven Dragon. Now, Xiao Chun was certain that this place was the Blue Dragon's old haunt. There were no more surprises. However, Xiao Chun could not immediately answer Grandpa Seven's question. The previous generation Heaven Dragon was currently locked up in the Starry Heavens Dragon Prison, suffering inhumane torture day and night. He is very good and very tenacious. Xiao Chun paused for a while. That was all he could say. Grandpa Seven smiled and sighed. You cultivators are good, unlike us ordinary people. We do not have enough talent and cannot cultivate. Otherwise, my grandfather would be able to live until now. However, living in the desolate sea is not a good thing. Practically no sect in the desolate sea would accept disciples or nurture disciples here. Firstly, the land was vast and sparsely populated, and resources were scarce. Secondly, there were too few natives in the northern region. The sects here were all branches of the various large factions. These sects would draw disciples from their headquarters and slowly develop. Xiao Chun was deep in thought. Since the Heaven Dragon of the previous generation had been here before, did he leave any clues behind? After some questioning, Lord Seven recalled with some difficulty. I really can't remember clearly. Let me look for it. Grandpa Seven gulped down a mouthful of wine and began rummaging through the old house. Found it. Grandpa Seven took out a yellowed book from an old box. He patted the dust off it and said, "This is my grandfather's diary. I remember that he would write down all the major matters in this book." Xiao Chun received it solemnly. He revealed a joyful expression and said, "Seventh Grandpa, thank you so much. This thing is very useful to me." Grandpa Seven smiled and said, "If it's useful, then take it. You've helped the village so much these past few days. I don't know how to repay you. You're too polite, Seventh Master." That's right. When I saw Seventh Master earlier, I wanted to say something but hesitated. It seemed like I had something to say. Xiao Chun put away the book and asked softly. Grandpa Seven nodded and said, "There is indeed something that I would like to ask little brother for help with. However, this old man has not been able to repay me, so I have not been able to say anything." Xiao Chun smiled and said, "Grandpa Seven is too polite. It is not convenient for me to tell you about my fate with this place for now. However, you can rest assured. If you have anything to say, just say it. I owe you." When Grandpa Seven saw Xiao Chun's sincere expression, he sighed softly. There is a peach blossom city 1,500,000 kilometers away. There is a small-scale peach blossom wine festival every 10 years and a large-scale peach blossom wine festival every 100 years. Peach Blossom City. Xiao Chun had seen this city before when he was roaming around. Indeed, the fragrance of wine spread everywhere. One could smell it from 50 kilometers away. However, as Xiao Chun was in a rush, he did not enter the city to take a look. "Senior, please continue." "Yes. When I was young, I would bring the wine that I brewed to the wine festival. Even if I could not make it stand out, I could sell it for a good price, helping the village not to worry about food and clothing for a few years. However, 30 years ago, after the ancient well outside the village dried up, it could no longer brew any good wine. When Xiao Chun heard that, he smiled and said, "Do you always want to come out of retirement and participate in this centennial wine festival?" I'm also a wine lover. Grandpa 7, if you have any requests, just let me know. Grandpa 7 sighed and said, I did not do this on a whim. Peach Blossom City's city lord is a major character. If he takes a fancy to the wine brewed by someone in the Centennial Wine Festival, he will agree to one request of the brewer. With just one word from him, our village will be safe for 100 years. Although the chances are slim, I still want to risk these old bones of mine and give it a try. Centennial Wine Festival. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. Grandpa 7 seemed to be worried about something. There seemed to be a hint of worry on his face. Unfortunately, Xiao Chun had already finished drinking heartburn long ago. He had used it to stabilize his cultivation and raise his cultivation. As for the 1,000-year flame, Xiao Chun still had half a bottle left. If he dripped a drop into the Blue Dragon wine flask, he could fill it to the brim, which he could use to participate in the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. Before Xiao Chun drank heartburn, he had felt that the 1,000-year flame was the best wine in the world. However, after drinking heartburn, Xiao Chun had to admit that there were indeed more outstanding wines in the Great Thousand Realms. It was hard to say whether the 1,000-year flame could take the top spot in the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. Grandpa 7, look at this wine recipe. Can you brew it? Xiao Chun thought for a while and took out the wine recipe. Perhaps Grandpa 7 could brew it himself. This is the Dragon Race's wine, Heartburn. Grandpa 7 felt somewhat startled. He quickly returned the recipe to Xiao Chun and said, This wine recipe has been lost for several thousand years. If I brew it and participate in the wine festival, I might attract a fatal disaster. There's hope. When Xiao Chun saw the situation, he rejoiced in his heart. He smiled and said, Grandpa 7, there is no rush. Help me brew it. I won't participate in the wine festival. How about I drink it myself? Grandpa 7 hesitated before saying, However, I'm afraid that I cannot obtain the ingredients. It's fine. Leave the ingredients to me. Grandpa 7, what wine do you want to brew? I'll take care of all the ingredients. All right, but we need to restore the ancient well outside the village first. Without that well water, we can't do anything. Without that well water, your heartburn and the wine I want to brew will not succeed. I'll go and take a look. If I really can't do it, I'll go further away and look for a replacement well water. What well water was so important? Feeling suspicious, Xiao Chun arrived at an ancient well not far from the village. The well water had already dried up long ago. Saying, What's strange about this well? Xiao Chun asked after calling out softly. Xiao Chun did not have any outstanding talents, so he could only ask Sang to take a look. Sang was an expert in this aspect. Sang came out of the divine universe steel and looked at the dried well. Then, he looked at the surrounding terrain. His expression changed slightly as he said softly, This is a cold spring. To think that a cold spring can appear in the desolate sea. Cold spring? That's the spring that appears in places of extreme Places of extreme are bone-chilling, extremely cold. It is very difficult for running water to flow. If there is, and the terrain happens to produce a fountain, it will be called a cold spring. First of all, places of extreme are very hard to find in the desolate sea. Having running water is even harder. Furthermore, the terrain produces a fountain, which is even harder. Sang paused for a while before continuing. The spring water of a cold spring is indeed suitable for brewing good wine. It is very difficult to find a substitute. That was somewhat problematic. It looked like Grandpa 7 was right. If the wine recipe stated that it required the spring water of a cold spring, there was indeed no way to brew it. Why did the spring water stop? There are too many reasons. It might be that the water source broke, or the energy might be too dense, causing the water to stop flowing. It might also be that the terrain changed and the underground water flowed further downstream. As the propping mulberry tree, Sang knew the terrain and the spring water like the back of his hand. There was no need to doubt Sang's words. It looks like I still have to go down and take a look, Xiao Chun said softly as he stared at the deep, dried well. Don't go down first. Sang pulled Xiao Chun back, not letting him rush down. What's wrong? Xiao Chun did not understand. Sang explained seriously that Grandpa 7 is just an ordinary person and does not know much about the cold spring. I suspect that this cold spring is not naturally formed. Man-made? That is too exaggerated. Who could change the terrain so precisely, even altering yin and yang to create a place of extreme yin? When Xiao Chun heard that, he felt flabbergasted, somewhat in disbelief. Sang said softly, "Although it is somewhat difficult, I have seen everything you said before. It is very difficult for a cold spring to appear in the desolate sea. It is not appropriate to go down rashly." Xiao Chun entered deep thought. Then he looked up at the decapitated blue dragon in the distance, and then at the cold spring. Sang's words were indeed worth thinking about. A green mountain with a decapitated dragon head and a dried-up cold spring. If these two were connected, it would indeed feel a chill. Chapter 2035. Cold spring. Is this a trap laid by someone else? Xiao Chun stood in front of the well and entered deep thought. After a while, he decided to go down and take a look. "I'll accompany you. If anything happens, we can look after each other," Sang said softly. "It's fine. If there's really any danger, it will be easier for me to escape alone. Don't worry." Without giving Sang a chance to refuse, Xiao Chun gently leaped into the well. "It's fine. If there's really any danger, it will be easier for me to escape alone. Don't worry." Not giving Sang a chance to refuse, Xiao Chun gently leaped into the well. Sang looked at the well and then the surroundings, entering deep thought. Soon, he soared into the air and looked down at the surroundings. He saw indistinct mountain ranges in the distance. The entire terrain gave off an indescribably strange feeling. Below, in the well, Xiao Chun descended for a long time. Finally, his feet touched the ground, and he landed. Whoosh! The instant Xiao Chen's feet touched the ground, a chill assaulted him. Xiao Chen's body trembled uncontrollably. He felt yin-attributed qi in his body, and the chill was overwhelming. If he wanted to remove it, he would have to waste a lot of veritable essence energy. Xiao Chun circulated the ice feather divine incantation and directly absorbed this yin-attributed qi, turning it into the power of his ice domain. When he looked up, he could see a bowl-sized light. The ancient well was probably 10 kilometers deep. When he thought about it, he realized that he was now 10 kilometers underground. He could not help but be exceptionally cautious. As for the surroundings, it was pitch black. He could only see within 100 meters. Xiao Chun groped his way forward in the darkness. The narrow path widened as he walked. However, the terrain became increasingly complicated. Soon, his vision suddenly widened. Xiao Chun had already arrived at an underground cavern. The inverted stalactites were 2 meters long. They gave off a crystalline light, barely allowing him to see the entire cavern. One had to admit that the strange stalactites and the night view of the water looked rather shocking and wondrous. After admiring it for a while, Xiao Chun followed the water and headed upstream. The yin-attributed qi became increasingly denser. To his surprise, Xiao Chun discovered that his frost domain was rapidly expanding. At this rate, it would not be long before Xiao Chun broke through and comprehended the ice great Tao. His ice domain had long reached the limits. He only lacked a fortuitous encounter, and he could break through to the power of great Tao. Perhaps this was an opportunity. With this thought, Xiao Chun circulated the ice feather divine art to its limits. The cold qi around Xiao Chun condensed into strands of cold qi that glimmered in the night sky. The cold qi around him grew thicker and thicker. The cold qi that had condensed into threads had already condensed into feathers. Countless ice feathers flew up and down, looking exceptionally beautiful. Along the way, they came across many round stone pillars that were wrapped in layers of thick ice. It stood abruptly on the ground. The underground environment was really strange. They didn't run into any danger along the way, but that made Xiao Chun even more cautious. He felt that something was off. Gotcha! Suddenly, Xiao Chun stepped on a patch of frozen ground, and his right foot sank in. The cold qi instantly froze his foot. Xiao Chun cursed himself for being unlucky. Then, he lowered his head and tried to pull his foot out. However, he suddenly felt the danger of impending death. Xiao Chun could not care less about pulling his right foot out. He tilted his body slightly, and a 2-meter-long stalactite silently slid past his face and into the ground. Whoosh! The sharpness of the stalactite surpassed Xiao Chen's expectations. The long stalactite directly pierced into the ground, not making a sound. Xiao Chun immediately felt a chill run down his back. If he had not dodged, this stalactite would have pierced through his head and body, killing him on the spot. Was it a coincidence? There did not seem to be any formation fluctuations or signs of anyone controlling it. It could only be explained as a coincidence. After pulling his frozen right foot out, Xiao Chun stretched his legs. He had to be even more careful from now on. No. Suddenly, Xiao Chun thought of something and looked back. He saw that on the way here, he looked at the round stone pillars that had suddenly appeared on the ground, and he felt an inexplicable sense of fear. Xiao Chun threw a palm strike ferociously, and a saber wind spread out. All the dust on the surface of the circular stone pillar fell off in an instant. Swish, swish, swish. As the thick stone chips peeled off bit by bit, the cylindrical stones revealed their true bodies. They were all corpses. The frozen corpses stood erect on the ground. Their blank expressions before they died could even be seen clearly. The saber wind didn't stop, and in the next moment, all the corpses were turned into dust. Xiao Chen's face was deathly pale. He was completely frightened out of his wits. With his courage, there were very few things that could scare him. However, the scene before him had truly frightened him. It turned out that he had already walked through many paths of death before this. If he had been the slightest bit careless, he would have lost his life on the spot. Xiao Chun recalled the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories. In the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's memories, there was a kind of exquisite killing formation that completely merged with the natural environment. One would not even be able to sense the existence of the killing formation. Even when one died, one would not understand what happened. I can't go any further. The killing formation of this place already surpassed Xiao Chen's understanding. Even a divine vein realm sovereign emperor might not be able to leave alive. When Xiao Chun sized up the area in front, he felt that the rather ordinary underground environment was filled with killing intent. Xiao Chun sent out a few palm winds and discovered several more corpses in various states of death. The only thing they had in common was that they all had blank expressions, not understanding what was going on. Among them, Xiao Chun even discovered the corpse of a sovereign emperor. Most of the frigid qi in the surroundings came from a corpse. Xiao Chun understood why this spring dried up. Someone once discovered the secret of the cold Yin spring and came down to explore it. In the end, they all died in there. None of them left. The influence of the cold qi on these corpses suddenly intensified, affecting the flow of the cold Yin spring. The cold spring dried up, and the death gate of the killing formation opened. On the contrary, the life gate might appear only after the cold spring flowed. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chun chopped these frozen corpses into pieces. Then he sat down cross-legged and cultivated without moving. Right now, he was already in a dead end. If he returned rashly, he would definitely die. Only when the cold Yin spring flowed again could this killing formation disappear, giving him a chance at survival. Xiao Chun drove the ice feather divine incantation, continuously absorbing the surrounding cold qi. Firstly, he could save himself and use this opportunity to break through and comprehend the ice great Tao. Whoosh! Whoosh! The surrounding cold qi gathered at Xiao Chun like a storm. Boundless ice feathers danced in the air like goose feathers. Xiao Chun held his breath and focused, not bothering with anything. He had experience with the Thunder Great Tao and the Saber Great Tao. Xiao Chun was very experienced in breaking through the Ice Great Tao. He did not panic, taking his time. Ding dong, ding dong. Time passed slowly. After some time, the sound of water dripping rang out in Xiao Chen's ears. With a thought, it's coming. Xiao Chun continuously absorbed the cold qi. The cold qi plummeted, and the cold Yin spring flowed again. Xiao Chun needed a breakthrough before the cold Yin spring arrived. The life gate would give him only one chance. Charge! 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 A heroic spirit surged in Xiao Chen's heart as he drove the ice feather divine incantation to its limits. His long hair fluttered, and his fine black hair gave off a jade-white light. His entire body radiated cold qi. Then, Xiao Chen saw spots of white light the size of grains of rice appear behind him. In the next moment, the spots of white light suddenly gave off a bright light and turned into a complete Tao disc behind Xiao Chen. Boom! Xiao Chen opened his eyes and saw an ice spring surging over from upstream. It was like a dragon, wanting to swallow him up. Before Xiao Chen could feel the ice Tao's great Tao energy, he leaped up and rushed forward. The ice spring gushed endlessly behind him. The life gate of the killing formation was fully open. As Xiao Chen rushed forward, he did not run into any danger. Xiao Chen retraced his original path and finally arrived at the bottom of the well. Without even thinking, his veritable essence energy surged and exploded under his feet. Then, he leaped up and soared into the sky. Boom! In the next moment, Xiao Chen soared into the sky. Soon, he leaped out of the well and hovered in midair. Xiao Chen landed on the ground and retreated to the side with Sang. Then, he informed Sang of the situation underground. Sang said with a grave expression, "You ran into a heavenly Tao killing formation. This kind of killing formation merged with the heavenly Tao. It is extremely profound and formless. Being able to return alive is truly luck. It is not fake at all." Xiao Chen also felt some lingering fear. If he had continued forward at that time, he might have died in there without realizing it. Sang paused for a moment before saying, "The person who laid this killing formation is extremely profound. If someone dies, it means that the secret of the cold Yin spring was discovered. Furthermore, when someone dies, the spring dries up, no longer attracting the attention of others. This is a very natural form of self-protection. It is truly indescribable." Xiao Chen thought about it carefully and also found it somewhat scary. Just at this moment, the cold Yin spring rushed out of the well and turned into a wave soaring into the sky, attracting the two's attention. Spring water gushed out and sprinkled in the surroundings. When the villagers saw this scene, they all stirred up and rushed out. All of them felt wild with joy. Water was scarce in the desolate sea. Having an underground spring was enough to feed hundreds of families. Since this cold Yin spring dried up, the villagers had to travel 50 kilometers to get water from the villages they had a good relationship with. Now that the spring water was flowing again, they no longer had to beg others for water. The overjoyed villagers all smiled as they bathed in the spring water. Several of them took out farming tools to store water, their faces filled with smiles. When Xiao Chen and Sang saw this scene, they revealed smiles. Their expressions involuntarily warmed up significantly. No matter how many startling secrets this cold Yin spring had, it was just a well to feed ordinary people. The person who laid down the killing formation was someone who did not miss out on anything. He definitely could not have predicted this. Many times, life was simpler. Not knowing and not understanding was bliss. The person who laid the formation had incredible means and might not be as happy as the simple villagers. Chapter 2036. Who do you think laid this heavenly Tao killing formation? Xiao Chen and Sang chatted in soft voices. Sang shrugged and said, "How can I know? Just take your time." As the two spoke, Grandpa Seven walked over with a smile on his face. This was the first time Xiao Chen saw Grandpa Seven so happy. When Grandpa Seven saw Sang, he felt slightly surprised. Xiao Chen introduced, "This is my friend Sang. Without his help, we would not have been able to draw out the spring water." Many thanks, Sang nodded and said, "You are too polite." Xiao Chen thought for a while before asking, "Grandpa Seven, what other ingredients do you need? I'll go get them for you." Right. I made a list. See if you can do it. Don't worry. Leave it to me." The Dragon Race's excellent wine, Heartburn, was not only an excellent wine, but also something that could raise one's cultivation. It could even be used when one advanced to sovereign personage. Naturally, Xiao Chen would do his best to obtain it. 3 days later, the gushing spring water slowly receded. The coldine spring settled in a place similar to the ancient well. Xiao Chun busied himself with the various ingredients that Grandpa Seven needed, doing his best to run errands. When Xiao Chun had free time, he would read the records left by his grandfather in the village. Today, that little brother from the dragon tribe actually went down into the ancient well. That's an ancient well that our ancestors have warned us not to go down. That little brother went down for a long time. In the middle of the night, I heard strange cries coming from the ancient well. Feeling worried, I came out to take a look. Aside from the exceptionally scarlet blood moon reflected in the water, there was nothing strange. When that little brother came out the next day, he had an excited expression on his face. He told me that he discovered an incredible secret in the well, that he knew where the dragon head was. When Xiao Chun reached this part, he showed a slightly stunned expression. Then, he hurriedly flipped to the next page. However, the second page talked about something else and did not record anything. The previous generation heaven dragon went down the ancient well. Did that little brother go further than me? He even discovered the secret in the ancient well. Xiao Chun showed a grave expression as he looked at the records. Xiao Chun continued reading. Little brother went to the Azure Mountain again today. Every time he went, he showed an unsightly expression. My ancestors told me not to go to the Green Mountain because I would be cursed if I went there. But I know that even if I tell him, he won't listen, so I can only let him be. Every night, we tremble in fear, afraid that the desolate slaves will come out. Ever since little brother came, the desolate slaves seem to take special care of our village. Fortunately, little brother is here. The desolate slaves cannot kill him. I wonder how strong little brother is. Winter is here, and the ground is covered with snow. Little brother hasn't left yet. With him around, the people in the village won't go hungry. It's a blessing. This winter won't be too difficult. Too scary, too scary. It was unknown what array the little brother had set up, but the killing mountain that was thousands of miles away seemed to be roaring angrily. Many streams of light entered the Green Mountain. That green mountain trembled, flowing light flickering about. It was as if blood vessels were flowing, as if it was going to come to life in the next moment. The villagers were scared silly. They trembled in fear and did not dare to go out. But the little brother didn't stop. He flew above the Green Mountain. I saw the blood moon and the great sun appear at the same time. Many terrifying people charged over. The little brother seemed to be injured. I looked through the window and saw that the little brother seemed to have lured them into the ancient well. 3 days passed, but the little brother did not come out. Those terrifying people did not come out either. It has been several months. I know that the little brother is definitely fine. However, he definitely won't come again. The village is finally at peace. The little brother really did not come again. Pa. Xiao Chun closed the notebook and pushed off the ground. When he arrived at the Coldine Spring, he felt an urge to jump in immediately. It turned out that the people below were all lured down by the Heaven Dragon. He tricked all those sovereign emperors and sovereign personages to death. The Heaven Dragon was indeed a ruthless person. The old village chief was right. The Green Mountain was indeed cursed. The Heaven Dragon's ending was truly miserable. One could not go to the Green Mountain casually. However, the blood moon and the great sun appeared in the desolate sea's night sky at the same time. What exactly did the Heaven Dragon do? What exactly did he discover? Did he know why the blue dragon was destroyed? Did he know who the person who set this up was? After that, he was locked up in the Starry Heaven's Dragon prison, suffering for eternity. Xiao Chen's reasoning suddenly felt somewhat terrifying. If the Heaven Dragon was locked up in the Starry Heaven's Dragon prison, not because he provoked the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor, but because he discovered a startling secret, then who exactly did he offend? Why was he even more horrifying than the Purple Gold Dragon Emperor? After looking at the ancient well and calming down, Xiao Chen no longer had any impulses. He did not have the cultivation of the Heaven Dragon yet. It was hard to say if he could survive after going down. Big brother, what are you looking at? Xiao Chun turned his head and saw Qing Chun. He had not seen this little girl for several days. She was no longer like when he first saw her, crying. She was already satisfied with returning to the village and being able to take care of her younger brother. Although Xiao Chun said that he would not return, he actually could not bear to part with her. Let me take a look as well. Ching Chun hopped over and leaned against the mouth of the well to take a look. Xiao Chun quickly turned around, worried that this little girl would fall in. How strange. Why is there a moon in the water? Isn't it daytime now? There is a moon? Xiao Chun went over to take a look and found nothing strange about the water in the well. Just as he was about to say something, Ching Chun said, "The moon slipped away again." Xiao Chun immediately laughed hoarsely. Then, he carried Ching Chun to the side and warned, "Don't come over again. This well is very deep. If you fall in, you'll die." "Right, I'll listen to Big Brother." Xiao Chun rubbed Ching Chun's head and said, "Go back and take good care of your younger brother." As Xiao Chun watched the other party leave, he revealed a faint smile. Then, he raised his head and looked into the distance at the azure mountain in the distance. The lonely mountain peak looked crisp and clear. Not a single blade of grass grew on it as it stood tall on the ground. The villagers within 5,000 kilometers worshipped it. Xiao Chun still had to go and take a look. What exactly was the connection between the azure mountain and the ancient well? He had to make a trip there to figure it out. Xiao Chun gently pushed off with his feet and flew towards the azure mountain. "Are you really going? This mountain is cursed. It will bring bad luck." Sang reminded Xiao Chun from the divine universe steel. How can a cultivator believe this? If there's a curse, we just have to remove it. There was no lack of secret techniques for curses in the Great Thousand Realms. Curses were not that mysterious to cultivators. When Xiao Chun saw the nearby azure mountain, he realized that it was still some distance away. The distance between them and the village was very far. In just a short while, they had left the village far behind. By the time Xiao Chun got close, the sky had already turned dark. An incredibly vast and majestic setting sun slowly set in the distance, half of it already disappearing into the horizon. Every time one saw the desolate sea's setting sun, they would feel shocked, sensing its vastness and boundlessness. It was just like the desolate sea's blood moon, which felt cold and sinister. They were polar opposites. "Did you sense anything?" Sang asked softly as he appeared beside Xiao Chun. The two were still 10 kilometers from the azure mountain. They did not enter rashly. They extended out their spiritual sense and carefully checked. Xiao Chun did indeed feel something strange. The space around the azure mountain was exceptionally cold and sinister. Xiao Chun's spiritual sense sensed resentment, invisible to the naked eye, spreading everywhere. Indeed, ordinary people could not get close. If they did, they would immediately go crazy from the negative emotions. However, aside from this, Xiao Chun also felt a sense of familiarity. It was like a voice in his heart was calling out to him. "Don't move first. I'll go over and take a look." Xiao Chun stepped forward alone, walking towards the azure mountain step by step. Immediately, countless negative emotions assaulted him. Pain, dissatisfaction, and rage filled Xiao Chun's mind, trying to drive him crazy. Xiao Chun maintained his calm as he slowly approached the azure mountain. To Xiao Chun, 10 kilometers only took a few steps to cross. However, these few steps were not easy. Instead, it felt like he was walking on thin ice, every step taken cautiously. When Xiao Chun arrived at the foot of the mountain, he looked up at the azure mountain and felt a sense of familiarity. However, just as Xiao Chun stretched out his hand and touched the azure mountain, the demonic cloud heaven swallowing art in his body instantly suppressed the purple thunder divine incantation. The demonic cloud heaven swallowing art circulated wildly, and demonic chi spread out from his body. The entire azure mountain exuded strands of black aura. Xiao Chun quickly let go and took a step back, sweat pouring down his face. "What happened to you earlier? You scare me to death." "There was no movement for 4 hours," Sang said worriedly as he rushed over to Xiao Chun's side. 4 hours. However, Xiao Chun clearly felt that it was only an instant. He was greatly startled when he looked around and discovered that the sky had already turned completely dark. The blood moon already hung high in the night sky. 4 hours had really passed. This startled Xiao Chun. What happened earlier? I'll go up and take a look. This azure mountain is somewhat strange. I have to figure it out. Xiao Chun gently pushed off the ground and turned into a bolt of lightning, soaring up. After a while, his figure appeared and landed at the place where the solitary peak was cut off. The instant Xiao Chen's feet touched the ground, he immediately felt boundless demonic qi pour into his body. His eyes instantly turned scarlet. Sang was greatly startled when he saw Xiao Chun standing under the huge blood moon. His white robes and long hair fluttered chaotically, and his eyes turned scarlet. Under the blood moon on the azure mountain, Xiao Chun looked like he was in the moon, looking incredibly strange. Scatter! Xiao Chun shouted and scattered all the demonic qi in his body. Then, he circulated the purple thunder divine incantation at full power, suppressing the demonic cloud heaven-swallowing art. The scarlet in Xiao Chen's eyes slowly receded, and his mind recovered. However, he still felt some lingering fear. Just at this moment, Xiao Chun, who was looking into the distance on the lone peak, suddenly frowned. A fiery light soared into the sky where the village was. It was destroyed. Chapter 2037. Fire lit up everywhere where the village was. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat as he leaped down from the azure mountain. The demon blood vulture turned into a beam of red light and caught Xiao Chun, who had jumped down. Then they rushed towards the village. Whoosh! Sang gently leaped onto the demon blood vulture's back. When he looked into the distance, he immediately felt startled. Oh no! The village is in trouble. No village would be on fire for no reason. In the desolate sea, which was filled with roving bandits, such a scene could only mean one thing. The roving bandits broke into the village. Every once in a while, roving bandits would sweep through a village in the desolate sea. However, when Xiao Chun saw the village that he had stayed in for so long suddenly suffer a calamity, he felt an indescribable rage in his heart. At this moment, outside the burning village, wooden stakes were hammered into the ground. A villager was tied to each wooden stake. Hundreds of roving bandits rode ferocious horses as they looked at this group of people with sinister smiles. Pa! 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 Iron Egg's flesh was lacerated, dripping with blood. However, he gritted his teeth and did not make a sound. Bastard! Brat! Weren't you very awe-inspiring earlier? You killed a few of my brothers. Why are you not awe-inspiring now? This old man will whip you to death. The bandit leader held his whip and lashed it a few times. Then he spat on Iron Egg. Iron Egg's eyes turned red as he gritted his teeth. However, he could not do anything. Too strong. This group of people is too strong. Even if Big Brother, Xiao, taught me his saber technique and can block these bandits, I will not be able to last one strike before the demon envoys. Why? Why? This group of bastards. Why did they burn down the village, not even letting off the elderly and children? Sob, sob, sob. All the villagers, young and old, were tied to the wooden stakes. Several children were so frightened that they started crying loudly. Their cries sounded incredibly miserable in the night. However, this group of roving bandits laughed without a care in the world. Some of them even ran over to torture the elderly and children. You bastards! Come at me if you have any problems. Iron Egg roared in dissatisfaction as he vomited a mouthful of blood. The bandit leader had a dark complexion and a tall and sturdy figure. He revealed a cruel smile. You finally spoke. Don't worry. In any case, all of you will die later. Bruiser kept struggling against the chains on his body, causing the wooden stake to sway back and forth, but to no avail. The bandit leader laughed. I don't have time to play with you. Behave yourself. Pa! Another whip landed on Bruiser's mouth. Bruiser's flesh split open, and the pain almost made him faint. The leader of the roving bandits walked over to the wooden stake that village chief 7th was tied to. Not far from this wooden stake stood a cold and arrogant young man. The young man was wearing black armor and a blood-colored cloak. There was a strange pattern embroidered on the chest of the armor, which should be the symbol of a certain sect. Sir, please let them go. This time it's my fault. If there's any lord, you could just blame me. The 7th lord looked at the young man and said in a choked voice, The young man remained expressionless as he said indifferently, I gave you a chance. I said that if you come across a purine body, you have to hand it over immediately. Did I say that? When Grandpa Seventh heard that, his aged face trembled slightly, but he could not say anything in response. Answer me. Did I say that? Sir said that. Grandpa Seventh lowered his head and answered softly. Since you know, why hide it? Our heavenly slaughter sect has been in this region for many years, and we have been upholding justice by interacting with you. As long as you hand over the children on time, we will not come and cause trouble for you. If you hand over a purine body, you'll even receive a reward. The young man paused for a moment before continuing indifferently. If I do not kill one to warn 100, how will I convince others in the future? Tell me, do you think you deserve to be killed? Grandpa Seventh remained silent, unable to say anything. Humph. I gave you face, but you rejected it. You have to show some colors before you know who's better. You mortals are really despicable. Continue whipping, the young man ordered, not wasting his breath. What are you waiting for? Didn't you hear what Lord Demon Envoy said? Hurry up. The bandit leader quickly shouted in a fawning manner. Then he smiled and said, Lord Demon Envoy, there is no need to bother with these lowly commoners. Just rest at the side. Teach them to us, lest you dirty your hands. The young man showed a cold expression as he said indifferently, torture them until midnight before you can kill them. Tell your subordinates to pay attention. What I need are the souls with the heaviest resentment. Don't mess it up. However, right after the young man spoke, his expression suddenly changed, and he looked up. He saw a large bird covered in scarlet flames in the night sky, spreading its wings as it flew over, exuding an overwhelming demonic nature. A demon blood vulture. The young man's eyes lit up. Furthermore, it was a mutated demon blood vulture, a peak-quality demonic pet that the demonic Tao dreamed of. Whoosh! Just as the young man was about to ask who his friend was, countless saber lights flashed in the night sky. Countless saber lights flickered in the night. In the next moment, all the roving bandits in front of the wooden dummies were minced into pieces by the saber lights without exception. The bandit leader was so frightened that his legs went numb. He took a few steps back, stumbled, and fell heavily to the ground. The black-armored young man's expression immediately turned extremely sullen. As he stared at the descending Shao Chun, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Sir, what is the meaning of this? Shao Chun did not reply to the black-armored young man. Instead, he swept his gaze over the villagers on the wooden pillars. All the villagers, young and old, regardless of gender, were tortured. No one escaped. After taking a few steps, Shao Chun arrived before Iron Egg. As Iron Egg looked at Shao Chun, he started crying. Big Brother Shao, I'm useless. Iron Egg had many things he wanted to say. However, when he truly saw Shao Chun, his chest filled with rage, but he did not know where to start. All the things he wanted to say were contained in these 3 words. You've suffered, Iron Egg. Shao Chun patted Iron Egg's shoulder, calming his emotions. His heart bled as he did his best to suppress the murderous intent in his heart. Friend, I advise you not to interfere in the matters of our Heavenly Slaughter sect. The Heavenly Slaughter sect is not an existence that you can afford to offend. The black-armored cultivator felt that although Shao Chun was not a sovereign personage, he felt immense pressure for some reason. Feeling somewhat unconfident, the black-armored cultivator used the name of his sect to scare Shao Chun away. The Heavenly Slaughter sect. Shao Chun muttered to himself, entering deep thought. That's right. It is the rank 7 Heavenly Slaughter sect. Not to mention you. Even the major sects of the northern region and eastern region would not dare to interfere in the matters of our Heavenly Slaughter sect. I see that you are a dragon race cultivator, so I'll give you some face and let it go this time. Quickly withdraw. When the black-armored cultivator saw that the Heavenly Slaughter sect's name was effective, he slowly regained his confidence. Then, electric light flashed, and a fist light charged at the black-armored cultivator at an incredible speed. The black-armored cultivator wanted to retreat, so he quickly tried to block. However, he missed. Bang! The fist light struck the black-armored cultivator's face, and 200 cauldron force instantly exploded. This early-stage, holy venerate heavenly slaughter sect demonic envoy died on the spot, not even leaving a corpse behind. Cassier, on the other side, Sang helped the villagers undo their chains. At the same time, he infused gentle veritable essence energy into them to treat everyone's injuries. Soon, Sang arrived beside Xiao Chun. He whispered, "Fortunately, we arrived in time. Everyone is fine. However, I did not see little Qing Chun. I did not see little Qing Chun." Before leaving, Xiao Chun had patted the little girl's head. The smile on her face had yet to fade from his mind. Xiao Chun walked over to the village chief and sighed, "Grandpa Seven, stop hiding things from me. Why did you chase little Qing Chun out back then?" Grandpa Seven wept as he replied, "Little Qing Chun has a pure Yin body. She is a good cauldron for the demonic Dao sects to cultivate their evil cultivation techniques. As long as she was discovered, it would bring disaster to the entire village. However, this old man could not take the initiative to send her out. So, I could only chase her out." When Xiao Chun heard that, he felt slightly stunned. The many cultivation techniques of the demonic Dao sects did indeed require a pure Yin body. Grandpa Seven was right. Ordinary people could not resist demonic Dao cultivators at all. Xiao Chun also understood why Grandpa Seven did not tell Xiao Chun at the start. The demonic Dao and the righteous Dao coexisted in the desolate sea. The demonic Dao even suppressed the righteous Dao. Similar things had happened countless times. Which group of bandits did not have a large sect supporting them? In Grandpa Seven's opinion, telling Xiao Chun was sending him to his death. Perhaps Grandpa Seven had seen many hot-blooded people in his life. When they saw injustice, they drew their weapons and attacked. However, they ended up losing their lives. Time had worn away this old man's sharpness. When facing the desolate sea, his heart had already died. Grandpa Seven did not tell Xiao Chun because he wanted to deal with it himself. He wanted to seek peace for the village at the Peach Blossom Wine Festival. At some point, Sang arrived, carrying the bandit leader. This fellow wanted to run, but I caught him. After seeing Xiao Chen's means, the bandit leader was so frightened that he was at a loss for what to do, continuously begging for mercy. My lord, spare me. I was forced." Xiao Chen looked at Sang and said, "Help keep an eye on things. I'll go and save little Qing Chun. Don't worry, leave this to me." Xiao Chun grabbed the bandit leader and leaped into the air, landing on the demon blood vulture expressionlessly. Under the illumination of the blood moon, Xiao Chen's delicate face looked scarily gloomy. It was as Grandpa Seven said. Blood flowed every day in the desolate sea. Even a sage could not stop it. However, Xiao Chun had his own principles in his heart. He could not kill all the demonic Dao sects in the world. However, those who touched his friends had to pay the price. A man's courage should not be worn away by time. Chapter 2038. If Xiao Chun wanted to save Qing Chun, he had to know where she was sent. The Heavenly Slaughter sect's black-armored cultivator had already been killed by Xiao Chun. The only one who knew this was the bandit leader. This was also why Xiao Chun did not kill the bandit leader. "Come up." Xiao Chun lifted the bandit leader onto the demon blood vulture and asked coldly, "Where is Qing Chun sent to?" The bandit leader's eyes darted around as he cried, "My lord, this lowly one really does not know such a secret. Please spare me. Let me go, and I will give you all the resources I have accumulated over the years." Xiao Chen smiled coldly. "You think I am interested in your resources? You're not going to speak, right?" "Ha!" With a slap, Xiao Chun sent the bandit leader flying off the demon blood vulture's back. At this moment, the bandit leader was more than 10 kilometers above the ground. Given the bandit leader's cultivation, he would be severely injured or crippled even if he did not die. The bandit leader immediately screamed in the air, his complexion pale. I'll speak. Pull me up. GA. The demon blood vulture let out a strange laugh as it swooped down and flapped its wings. It treated the bandit leader like a toy, flapping its wings in the air. Sometimes it would toss him up several kilometers, sometimes he would fall 10 kilometers. After a few times, the bandit leader's soul nearly left its scabbard in fright. "It's done." Shao Chun sent a voice projection to the demon blood vulture. He got it, master. The demon blood vulture had enough fun. It flapped its wings, and a strong suction pulled the bandit leader onto its back. The bandit leader was still startled, unable to recover his wits for a long time. Then, he suddenly met Shao Chen's gaze and said quickly, I'll speak. I'll speak. The bandits of various sizes in the vicinity have to hand over 10 girls every 3 months. There is a mountain manor on a mountain range in the north. That is their stronghold. That girl should still be in the mountain manor. My lord, I already said it. Spare me. How many groups of bandits does the heavenly slaughter sect control? How many girls do they need each time? There are too many bandits. They need about 400 to 500 girls each time. Shao Chun clicked his tongue. He could roughly guess what these little girls would be used for by the demonic path sections. They were either used as cauldrons to cultivate evil techniques, or they were used to collect souls to refine ghost penance. He just didn't expect there to be so many of them. Shao Chun had long known that demonic Dao cultivators were vicious and merciless. For the sake of becoming stronger, they would do anything. Today, he finally witnessed it for himself. Sir, the villa is over there. On the demon blood vulture's back, Shao Chun looked in the direction that the bandit leader pointed. He saw a brightly lit mountain manor in the mountain range ahead. However, there was something strange about the light. It looked like a ghost flame flickering with a glossy green light, looking exceptionally scary in the desolate sea's night sky. Sir, we've arrived at the place. Shouldn't you let me go? The bandit leader carefully begged for mercy. What did I agree to let you go? Shao Chun snorted coldly. He had never agreed to let this person off. Given what the bandit leader had done, he would not regret dying 10,000 times. Before the bandit leader could speak, Shao Chun tossed the bandit leader down. The demon blood vulture opened its mouth and swallowed the bandit leader. The meat is really sour and not tasty at all, the demon blood vulture muttered as it digested the meat. Shao Chun could not be bothered with the picky demon blood vulture. He turned the meat into a ring and wore it on his finger. Then he put on the death god mask and silently approached the mountain manor in the dark night. This mountain manor should be just one of the heavenly slaughter sect's strongholds in this area. However, this stronghold was heavily guarded, and there were even spirit formations and restrictions around it. The formations and restrictions layered over each other, and a huge, formless existence encased the entire mountain manor. Shao Chun opened his heavenly eye, and the formless existence slowly became clearer. That was a mutated beast with a ghostly face made of countless souls. The horrifying ghostly face hovered above the mountain manor, its body encasing the entire mountain manor. The heavenly slaughter sect truly lived up to being a rank 7 demonic Dao sect. This was just a stronghold, and its restrictions were already so terrifying. If not for Shao Chun having so many trump cards, he would not have been able to do anything and could only return in defeat. The ghostly face's eyes scanned the surroundings. However, it could not detect Shao Chun. The death god mask isolated all auras. Right now, Shao Chun was like air. Even a sovereign emperor could not figure out his true identity. After silently sneaking in, Shao Chun leaped over the many guards and landed on the wall of the mountain manor. Then, he slowly removed the mask on his face. The mask could be considered one of Shao Chun's trump cards. If he used the mask to save others, someone with ulterior motives would find out that he was the masked person related to the village. Since Shao Chun already snuck in, there was no need to wear the mask. The moment Shao Chun landed, he heard weeping. He looked in the direction of the sound and saw Shao Chun sneaking through the many buildings of the mountain manor. Soon, he arrived at the source of the sound. This was a dilapidated house. Shao Chun lay on it and sent in his spiritual sense. Shao Chun saw more than 300-odd young girls locked up in there. Cry, 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 you bunch of stinky girls. If you keep crying, I won't give you anything to eat. The door opened, and an old woman with a withered face and a walking stick walked in. Then, she cursed ferociously. The old woman showed a terrifying expression. When she roared, the many young girls no longer dared to cry. only silently sobbing. This old woman is a sovereign personage. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. He did not act rashly, continuing to observe. The old woman continuously searched the young girls. After a while, her gaze landed on Qing Chun. The old woman squeezed out a smile and walked over with a smile. "Come, you must be the new girl that was sent over. Don't be afraid. Granny dotes on you." However, Qing Chun was frightened. She retreated continuously. Soon, she could no longer move, so she retreated to a corner. "Come, let this granny touch you." The old woman held her walking stick, smiling somewhat horribly. Before Qing Chun could refuse, she placed her hand on Qing Chen's head. A dim light came from the old woman's hand and entered Qing Chen's body. Qing Chun immediately closed her eyes, feeling somewhat pained. Her body gave off a white light. At first, this white light had some green light mixed in. However, in the end, the white light on Qing Chen's body became pure and translucent, as white as divine jade. A faint cold light appeared in the surroundings. When Qing Chun reopened her eyes, they also gave off a jade-like light. A cold moon slowly appeared behind Qing Chun amid the cold light. Extreme body. This startled the old woman, and she quickly let go. Then she rejoiced. It really is an extreme body. It really is the legendary extreme body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The mysterious phenomenon earlier startled several experts in a mountain manor. In a shabby thatched cottage, a few old men followed a middle-aged man in black armor and quickly walked in. "Manor Lord, this girl has a peak-quality pure body, the legendary extreme body." When the old woman saw the black-armored, middle-aged man, she quickly reported the good news. She looked like she had become several hundred years younger. The black-armored, middle-aged man stared at Qing Chun for a long time. Then he revealed a smile. "It really is an extreme body. Good. The 8th prince will definitely be happy with this gift. Ha ha. Men, send this girl to our sex branch in the desolate sea. We need to send her back to the dynasty quickly, lest something unexpected happens." Up on the roof, Xiao Chun thought, if I had come any later, it would have been too late. Qing Chun actually has an extreme body. Such a body was extremely rare. It was a physique that would drive some demonic Dao cultivators crazy. "Stand guard outside. Don't let anyone in. I'll send a message to the main sect and make some preparations." The black-armored, middle-aged man glanced at Qing Chun, feeling wild joy in his heart. He had done a great service this time. Soon, this group of people left one after another, leaving behind a confused Qing Chun. Up on the roof, Xiao Chun thought for a while. Then his figure leaped up and caught up to the black-armored, middle-aged man, jumping onto the roof. Inside the house, the black-armored, middle-aged man took out a medallion and used his spiritual sense to send a message about Qing Chun. The black-armored, middle-aged man did not give Xiao Chun any chance to stop him. "Damn it," Xiao Chun cursed. Then he shattered the roof beam and punched at the black-armored, middle-aged man. The sudden appearance of Xiao Chun startled the black-armored, middle-aged man. In his fluster, he quickly punched. Bang! Who knew? Xiao Chen's fist light contained frightening force. A faint azure-colored dragon-shaped vital qi gathered in his fist light. 200 cauldron force instantly exploded. The black-armored, middle-aged man vomited a mouthful of blood as he went flying back. His vital qi shook the surroundings. The entire house instantly exploded. Someone sneaked in. The entire mountain manor immediately turned chaotic. The hidden cultivators emerged and stood behind the black-armored, middle-aged man. The atmosphere immediately turned tense. Chapter 2039. The sudden explosion threw the entire mountain manor into chaos. A few of the black-armored, middle-aged man's subordinates supported him. His expression appeared somewhat unsightly. Where did this junior come from? To think that he dares to cause trouble in the heavenly slaughter sex base. The old woman that Xiao Chan saw earlier shouted as she looked at Xiao Chan while holding her walking stick. The other party looked like they had the advantage in numbers. However, The truly powerful ones were the black-armored, middle-aged man and the old woman, two initial sovereign personages, whom Shao Chun feared. After Shao Chun injured the black-armored, middle-aged man with one punch, the remaining old woman was no match for Shao Chun. You do not need to know who I am. Today, none of you can leave. Shao Chun looked at the people in the mountain manor. His white robes showed an indifferent expression, appearing extremely cold. To think that such a demonic Tao sect, like the Heavenly Slaughter sect, raised young girls like pigs and dogs, using them as cultivation furnaces. They were utterly devoid of conscience and deserved to be killed. How arrogant! You are just an insignificant holy venerate, yet you are ridiculously arrogant. Kill him. The old woman smiled coldly, and the many demonic Tao cultivators behind her stepped forward. Demonic flames surged from their bodies, and their auras soared. They used martial techniques that Shao Chun rarely came into contact with as they charged over. When they worked together, their auras were boundlessly vast. The dense demonic qi in the night looked exceptionally terrifying. Shao Chun did not need to waste time with this group of people. Relying on his acquired divine body, Shao Chun circulated his vital qi, and a faint azure vital qi merged into a blue dragon. A casual punch brought out a strong dragon might. Furthermore, his vital qi reached a startling 200 cauldron force. Bang! 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 These holy venerates were demonic Tao cultivators of varying strength. However, Shao Chun easily tore them apart like he was breaking dry branches. Practically no one could take a punch from Shao Chun. In mere moments, the demonic Tao cultivators charging overturned into blood splattering in the air. Shao Chun's white robes remained untainted by the blood splattering in the air. His dragon might did not appear angry. Damn it, he's a body cultivator. Use the sky-killing array to kill him. The black-armored cultivator caught his breath and led the others back. Then he saw the disciples taking out their formation flags. The ghost-faced soul beast that shrouded the mountain manor roared angrily. It turned from formless to corporeal and lunged at Shao Chun. The light of the sun and moon. Shao Chun snorted coldly. The sun and moon behind him rose into the sky at the same time, instantly overshadowing the ghost-faced exotic beast's terrifying aura. Shao Chun's will of soul was much stronger than his cultivation. His will of soul had broken through the shackles of a sovereign personage long ago. The mysterious phenomenon of the sun and moon shining together was comparable to the soul will of a great perfection sovereign personage. Tao of Thunder, accompanied by the sun and moon shining together phenomenon. The peak consummation thunder great Tao appeared. Shao Chun did not hold back at all. He used the peak thunder great Tao energy, his soul energy, and the blue dragon's vital qi to punch. Hua! The explosive fist light was like the blazing sun in the night sky, illuminating the surroundings. Immediately, the mountain manor became as bright as day. This punch instantly blasted the ghost-faced exotic beast charging at Shao Chun into ashes. The old woman holding a walking stick looked at Shao Chun incredulously. This is impossible. You are so young. How can you have such a strong will of soul? Who exactly are you? Do your elders know what you have done? Now, the old woman suspected that the unremarkable Shao Chun might be a true inheritor of a rank 7 sect. Or perhaps he was the scion of an ancient noble clan. Otherwise, a holy venerate could not possibly erupt with such terrifying strength. With such strength, Shao Chun would be considered a peak existence among the Heavenly Slaughter sect's true inheritors. The black-armored, middle-aged man said with a sullen expression, "He is a dragon race cultivator. However, he only has a mixed-blood dragon bloodline. No matter who you are or what your background is, you have already caused great trouble. No one can save you." When Shao Chun heard that, he smiled and said, "Interesting. Even at this moment, you are still concerned about who I am. Think about how the two of you are going to survive first. Supreme Dragon Fist, leaderless dragons. Whoosh! Veritable essence energy surged, and his chi and blood surged. Dragon roars rang out as Xiao Chen punched. Xiao Chen's entire body trembled, and killing qi spread out. Then it merged with his veritable essence energy and turned into strands of dragon qi moving about in the sky, materializing thousands of dragon images. A dragon image appeared in the sky. Guided by the force of Xiao Chen's punch, it swooped down. Countless dragon images swept through the surroundings, attacking all the demonic Dao cultivators in the mountain manor indiscriminately. Bang! 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 The many dragon images flattened the mountain manor in an instant. Miserable cries rang out. Many of the demonic Dao cultivators who could not block vomited blood when the dragon images crashed into them, severely injuring them. The Supreme Dragon Fist was the dragon race's most ferocious fist technique. The moment it was executed, it showed a boundlessly tyrannical scene. After Xiao Chen advanced to peak consummation Holy Venerate, this was the first time he used the Supreme Dragon Fist against an enemy. This resulted in a startling scene. Those whose cultivations were weaker than Xiao Chen's were instantly severely injured by the first punch, losing their combat prowess. Among the thousands of dragon images, only the black-armored, middle-aged man and that old woman remained, stubbornly resisting. Damn it! What fist technique is this? Why have I never heard of it before? The ferocious and tyrannical dragon images containing boundless killing qi continuously attacked. Every time they shattered a dragon image, it would shatter it. Every time they shattered a dragon image, the black-armored, middle-aged man and the old woman felt their arms go numb. Their qi and blood surged, and their internal organs slowly ruptured. Soon, they found themselves unable to do as they wished. Commanding the dragons, Xiao Chen did not show mercy after gaining the upper hand. He roared, releasing the rage in his heart as he roared. The berserk dragon images all calmed down, listening to his command and flying back to his body. This allowed Xiao Chen's aura to soar. His body erupted with a tyrannical aura that made the dragons submit to him. Xiao Chen punched. Using the unparalleled tyrannical aura of commanding the dragons, his fist aura surged out like an overwhelming wave. Whoosh! The black-armored, middle-aged man and the old woman felt a strong wind blowing in their ears. Their hair became disheveled as they retreated continuously. Before this tyrannical fist aura, not only could they not stand stably, but they could not even open their mouths. Their bodies were forced back involuntarily. Before the fist light arrived, this fist aura filled with killing qi tore terrifying cracks on the surface of their bodies. They could only watch as the tyrannical fist light surged over like a surging wave. The two felt despair in their hearts, and extreme horror appeared in their eyes. Bang! However, no matter how unwilling they were, it was useless before this unreasonable fist technique, the strongest ferocious fist technique of the dragon race. When the fist light arrived, the two vomited a mouthful of blood. Their bones shattered, their internal organs ruptured, and their souls shook. They fell to the ground, twitching. Pa! Pa! Xiao Chen remained expressionless as he flew forward and stomped twice, crushing the two's heads. They were just two demonic Dao sect trash. There was no need to take pity on them. Xiao Chen looked around. Aside from the dilapidated hut that Xiao Chen took care of, the entire mountain manor was destroyed. Xiao Chen did not rush over. Instead, he patrolled the interior of the mountain manor. He killed all the fish that slipped through the net, not leaving a single one alive. Xiao Chen was not a ruthless person. However, he understood that evil people could not be spared, and scourges would last for 1,000 years. Xiao Chen stood before the ruins of a formation in the courtyard for a long time. A pile of corpses lay before him. The ghostly mutated beast formation that he saw earlier was made from the corpses of ordinary people combined with the demonic Dao sect's blood sacrifice. Many of the corpses were of children, a ghastly and flabbergasting sight. Xiao Chen shook his head. After searching the mountain manor for some useful information, he went to the thatched hut. The girls in the hut trembled in fear, all of them crouching in a corner. Big brother, Qing Chun immediately spotted Xiao Chun in the crowd. She flew over, tears filling her eyes as she cried endlessly. Big brother, the bad guys captured Grandpa Village Chief and the others. It's all Qing Chen's fault. Sob, sob, sob. Xiao Chun consoled, it's fine. The bad guys are all dead. Don't cry. While Xiao Chun consoled her, he sighed in his heart. This girl possessed the legendary extreme body. Such a body was extremely special. Many major characters coveted it. Even Xiao Chun did not dare to boast that he could protect her. Xiao Chun had started a massacre in anger because he could not stop the black-armored, middle-aged man from spreading the news of her extreme body. When Xiao Chun looked ahead, he saw many pairs of weak, fearful eyes in the darkness, looking helplessly at him. Little Qing Chun, be good. Don't cry first. Tell the other big sisters that the bad guys are all dead. Tell them not to worry, all right? All right, all right. Qing Chun said resolutely as she wiped away her tears. The night passed in silence. When the sky turned bright, Xiao Chun sent the hundreds of girls back. After much effort, Xiao Chun found out from the information he obtained in the Mountain Manor. The Heavenly Slaughter Sect was a rank 7 sect of the Shuwu dynasty. Its headquarters was in the Shuwu dynasty. There were a total of 13 branches in the Desolate Sea. The strongest branch was located in the Desolate City. Aside from this, each branch controlled more than 100 strongholds like the Mountain Manor. The various branches were very far apart from each other. The Desolate Sea was too vast. Even the Heavenly Slaughter Sect could only use such a method to expand the area they controlled. Xiao Chun entered deep thought. He discovered that the establishment of the Heavenly Slaughter Sect's branches was not simple. Every branch spent hundreds, even thousands of years to gain a firm foothold and slowly develop many strongholds. If Xiao Chun could uproot the Heavenly Slaughter Sect branch that controlled this area, then the village Qing Chun would have at least 100 years of peace before the branch was reestablished. In that case, Qing Chen's village would have at least 100 years of peace before the branch was reestablished. Some crazy ideas popped up in Xiao Chen's mind, but they could not be stopped.